Now we're live on the right thing. For some reason, StreamYards kicked us out of our all of our normal little broadcasting tabs. You guys can't see it from here, but if you're familiar with Streamlabs, you'll all the places that we broadcast the show for are on little tabs. And for some reason, it took us off of. Yep, there you go. It took us off of all of our major tabs, including my Twitter, my Facebook page, Enosh's page. So that's just goofy. Okay, so where was I? So yeah, so welcome, welcome back. If for those of you coming in late, it looks like we're gonna have a lag of people coming in late because they're just not getting the notification. But this is the Sci-Fi Center live overnight, and it is hold on here. Let me see. Here we go. And now it's starting to filter in. I'm gonna give people a little bit of time to get in before I bring in my sponsors. All right, see, now it's starting to work. All right, for everybody who just came in, welcome to Sci-Fi Center Overnight. I'm William at the Sci-Fi Center. We are brought to you tonight by this week's sponsors, which is the makers of Violent Night. That is 87 North Pictures. And let me go ahead and put up. I've been giving stuff away for this all weekend. We give giving away cookies, posters, and mugs all weekend long. So let me bring this out to you. All right, Violent Night. And by the way, this stars David Harbour. If you guys like Black Widow, to me, he's the only good thing about Black Widow. He's one of my favorite parts of Stranger Things. He plays Hopper, the sheriff. So let me give you a synopsis. To hell with all his calm. From 87 North Pictures, the bare knuckle producers of Nobody, John Wick, Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2, Bullet Train, and Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw comes a cold, dark holiday action comedy that says you should always bet on red. When a team of mercenaries breaks into a wealthy family compound on Christmas Eve, taking everyone inside hostage, the team isn't prepared for a surprise combatant. Santa Claus, David Harbour himself, is on the grounds, and he's about to show you Nick is no saint. The film also stars Emmy winner John Leguizamo, which alone by itself is probably worth it. John Wick, Cam Garnett, Without Remorse, Alex Hassel from Cowboy Bebop, Alexis Louder from Tomorrow War, Edie Patterson from Righteous Gemstones, haven't seen that show yet, and Beverly D'Angelo. Wow, I haven't heard her in a while, man. From National Lampoons, among other things, but that's where I'll always remember her from. Directed by Razor Edge Norwegian director Tommy Warkola, Hansel and Gretel, Rich Hunters, Dead Snow. Oh, both Dead Snows. That means he did Dead Reddits too. Violent Nights is produced by 87 North, Kelly McCormick, David Leach, Guy Danella. The original screenplay is by Pat Casey and Josh Miller, the writers of Sonic the Hedgehog. The film's executive producer is Mark S. Fleischer. Dude, this movie's all over the place as far as the people who have made it. So there you go, Violent Night. Now, for those of you who are local and living in Southern Nevada or in the surrounding areas, tonight's almost over, but tomorrow, while we were open, you can come by and sign up for passes to a special screening that we'll be having this Tuesday, 6:15 at Regal Red Rock Cinemas. So if you're in the Southern Nevada area and you would like to go see this movie before anybody else gets to see it, swing by the Sci-Fi Center tomorrow between 12 and 6, and we will hook you up not only with free seats, but posters and whatever cookies we have left. And if you're lucky enough, while supplies last, you can get a mug. And the mugs are pretty cool too. They change color and all that stuff. So all right, now we're back on track, dude. StreamYard sucks. Let me go ahead and bring in Thade. How you doing, Thade?
What's up?
I can see the top of your head. That's hilarious. You're like the abominable snowman trying to sneak up, but a lot of stuff came up the last 24 hours. Irene Cara passed away. I didn't get a chance to put that for all of you fellow geezers. If you ever seen the show Fame that aired on NBC for 7 seasons,
Yep.
if you ever heard the song Fame, if you've ever seen Flashdance and that theme song to What a Feeling, and the theme song to Fame, Remember My Name, Fame, that's Irene Cara. She passed away today at 63 years old. what the fuck is going on? Dude, is anybody going to make it to 90? Is anybody going to die of old age? I mean, this is fucking tragic, man. You got Kevin Conroy. You got Frank, who obviously, his was mitigating circumstances, but still 49 years old. I mean, you just look at the litany of people we're losing. 63 years old is not hell. 63 years old, you're young enough to go for your first term as president these days. So I don't know the cause of death, and like I said, I found out about it late in the day. But I'm like, damn, it's like the Grim Reaper is out to get everything I've ever heard, and just starting 2 years ago with Eddie Van Halen, 66 years old. Just go ahead and take him. Any song. I mean, I'm afraid to admit that I like anything because he's gone after half of my wrestling favorites. I mean, damn, this is I thought when we got through COVID, a lot of these premature deaths would be over with, but apparently not. But yeah, I mean, Cara is, that's just 63 years old is too young to be going. I don't know what the cause of death was. It was still all new. I just saw it reported on credible outlets.
Says cause of death is still unknown at this time. So
yeah, so I'm not even going to speculate. It's just sad. I mean, I didn't even get a chance to put that that RIP before that night got going. A couple of topics we got. James Gunn is at it again. This time he responded to a tweet in response to Green Lantern Corps. We're going to get to that, but the first thing I want to get to is apparent. I mean, I sort of knew this in the back of my head. Marvel Studios cannot do a solo Namor movie because the rights are still are owned by Universal. I mean, the Hulk is in that same category. I forgot all about that. And you know what? I'm kind of pissed off because one of the good things about Wakanda Forever that I walked away with without any ill effects with, the movie was a motion picture funeral, but the portrayal of Namor was fucking great. I loved the portrayal, and I was telling myself while I was enduring the movie that we need to see more of this guy. We need to see this guy in a solo movie. And now, because of the rights issues with Universal, which basically puts them in the same. Marvel can still make a movie; they can still make it, but Universal would automatically be the distributor, which means they would get the bulk of the money. They would basically, Marvel would be producing a movie that they would get the minority money in, and the same reason why I say it's stupid for Sony to ever give any of their money for Miles Morales to Marvel for a movie that they would end up basically making and producing and putting the bill on as far as advertising goes. It's the same reason why Marvel wouldn't use Namor separately, because if the movie makes a lot of money, Universal gets it. Now I'm going to bring up this article. Here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and read and give you guys a lot of the details on it as soon as I can find the article. And this is from Collider. So it's a somewhat reputable source that hasn't screwed up yet. All right, Marvel can't make a standalone Namor movie. Black Panther Wakanda Forever producer explains. All right, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is continuing to light up the box office in its second full week of release. There are many reasons the Marvel sequel success, but one of the more villainous losing my voice, and we're only 10 minutes in. That's sad. Villainous reasons is the film finally saw the introduction of one of the brand's oldest characters, Namor, in the MCU. The Underwater King, played wonderfully by Tenoch Huerta. Am I going to get his last name? Meha.
Huerta. Tenoch Huerta.
Tenoch Huerta Meha. So Meha is his last name, or Mejia? Am I saying that right? Okay. Made a big splash in Wakanda Forever as the film's main antagonist. This has led fans to wonder, given where Namor's story ended, would Marvel Studios give Submariner his own solo film? Sadly, the answer appears to be they legally can't. In an interview with the rap producer, Nate Moore confirmed Namor's situation, saying that he can return, but Disney and Marvel can't produce a standalone film with the character. The reason being the Hulk, Universal Pictures owns the rights to Namor. The character isn't allowed to be in the marketing material posters by himself unless he's a posters like Wakanda Forever. Namor's rights issues are a lot more complicated and confusing than the Hulk or the current Marvel has with Sony to use Spider-Man. there are still many question marks surrounding the whole situation. Moore went further, saying it honestly affects us more, and not to talk about it. Okay, hold on. It honestly affects us more, and not to talk too much out of school, but in how we market the film, then how we use them on the film. Okay. Moore finished talking about this project. It's this subject, saying there weren't really things we couldn't do. Is that a hold on? Let me mute that. Is that Deadpool talking? There weren't really things we couldn't do from a character perspective for him, which is good because clearly we took a ton of inspiration from the source material, but we also made some big changes to really anchor him in that world, in a truth that publishing never really landed on. I would argue in a big way. Namor, like a lot of Marvel characters, has a very rocky journey in the big screen. However, none have been arguably messy as Namor. Like X-Men, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Namor was a licensing victim to the company's past financial woes, and we're hit on that too. Everybody thinks Marvel was shitting bricks for the last 30 years. They were not. They were really, and trust me, I carried their merchandise up until the mid-2000s. You couldn't line a birdcage with a lot of what Marvel was putting out outside of House of M and Secret Invasion. You really, it was like burning paper, which is why MCU's newest villain ended up at Universal. Since the 90s, there have been a handful of projects centered around this aquatic mutant in active developments. This included Philip Kaufman directed a film by Batman Sam Hamm, but this fell into the ocean when Universal acquired the rights in 2001. And now 2001, for some of you guys that weren't even alive or were infants, but from the mid 90s all the way up until the mid 2000s, Marvel was struggling as a company. There were rumors and speculation that Marvel would cease to exist if they couldn't find a buyer. And we were laughing the other day. I think it was on one of these streams I heard where Michael Jackson was actually about to purchase Marvel Comics. The value of the company had gotten so low that one person could actually buy it. It wouldn't have taken a company to purchase it. It was not a $70 billion company, which is what ended up, I think, with however much money Disney ended up acquiring it for. It was near worthless. And the only way that they stayed afloat was by licensing out and having really licensing deals out their major characters, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men, which is why Fox made those movies and Universal made Hulk and all that. That is the only reason why we even have a Marvel Comics to speak of today. They had not made those deals in the late 90s and early 2000s. There was no cash flow for Marvel. Their books weren't selling. They didn't have any means to make the type of movies that would to save them. They had to sell these rights to these characters in order to exist. Had they not, and Spider-Man was a big deal because Spider-Man was the biggest name at the time. Had they not done that, there is no MCU. There probably really isn't a Marvel Comics. And that's not hyperbole. Marvel Comics in 2000, between 1998 and 2001, was on the verge of literally disappearing in some ways, or being sold and undervalued and bought up by, you could have been bought up, would have been a devalued company. It wouldn't have been a recognizable Marvel Comics that we see now. So, but now that they've, survived out of that and gone the other way, those deals were forever. Those deals were as long as these companies were continuing to make movies. Universal's deals are a little bit tighter because they actually don't, I think with Sony, Sony has to continue to make Spider-Man content to keep them. Same thing with Fantastic Four. We're going to read down a little bit deeper. I do not think Universal has that caveat. I think Universal just owns those characters for as long as they own those characters. All right, Universal has been sitting on these rights since then, and the only reason Namor is in the MCU now is that Kevin Feige Marvel found the mysterious loophole. However, even though there's no way Namor can take center stage at the moment, fans will get a stellar introduction to the character in Wakanda Forever, and yes, it was stellar. Horta's menacing performance was a standout star of the film. His parallel connection with Shuri being one of the most compelling. I didn't think so, but okay. Most compelling arcs in the MCU to date. Also, Namor seeing Wakanda as an ally in the end of the film. Spoiler alert, sorry. We definitely haven't seen the last of this character in this popular universe. If Universal won't use this iconic character Marvel Studios will take full advantage of whatever loopholes they found. While fans anxiously wait Nemar's rights mess to clear up, they're never going to, unfortunately, unless there's a negotiation. You can see the character's epic cinematic debut in Wakanda Forever in theaters now. The trailer, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so when it comes to that, I forgot about that. That's I when somebody brought this up today, I had 100% forgot about that. Because, like I said, it was a yard sale in the 2000s. It was a yard sale, and they just, like I said, people who weren't around, like say if you're 30 right now, you were 10 when this was going on. If you're a teenager right now listening to the show, you weren't even alive. A lot of people don't. It's not part of anybody's reality how bad Marvel Comics was in the late 90s and early turn of the century. They were bad. All right, they had very few things that could push sales. There was no merchandising sales that were doing that. There was nothing that was doing. And a lot of people say Blade saved the Marvel Comics. No, Blade made some decent money, but the type of money that Marvel was hemorrhaging in the late 90s to the turn of the century was much, much more. Blade was a drop in a pan. Blade was nothing financially in comparison to the debt that they had ran up. It was Spider-Man, and then X-Men, and to some degree Fantastic Four, but it was the sale, it was the cash basically, and deals that they got from those characters. That is why Marvel is around right now. So yeah, what do you think about that, Dave? Isn't that kind of interesting?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew this was coming because I did remember that. Like the Hulk, that Namor was owned by Universal. But I think that they'll eventually work it out because they're starting to work it out with the Hulk. And there's now rumors or rumblings about a Hulk standalone movie in the MCU. So I don't know. We can only hope.
See, I'm wondering because I'm just because these Universal deals are a lot tighter because, like I said, they could, technically. I mean, I guess the leverage would be with Universal because they don't have to make a movie, and they don't risk losing the rights. You see what I mean? Like with Spider-Man, Sony has to continue to put out movies or something like and that's why their deal works.
Well, part of this goes to the fact that they were working on it. They've been working on a Namor movie since the late 90s over at Universal, and it's just never gone anywhere because the hype wasn't there for the character. But now, since Marvel's wanting to use it, since the Marvel Studios is wanting to use it, now they're going, well, hey, money.
Well, I don't think there was an active. I don't think Universal actually brought it up. What happened is because like me, I was like, hey, I want to see Namor, and then they reminded me of that, and then I think Universal and a lot of these companies just bought these characters because they saw future value in them. But outside of a group setting, Namor doesn't make any money. It's different than Spider-Man because Spider-Man made money outside of a group setting. Yeah. Namor, even though Namar's been around, he's one of the oldest characters in comics, one of the oldest characters in Marvel, along with the Human Torch. Not a lot of people outside of the geek zeitgeist that is me and you and everybody else. Not a lot of people would know Namor. In fact, I know because when we did the promo for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, everybody was cool with it. They loved the Namor that they saw. But prior to the promotion of this movie, most of the normies, I got to come up with different name for normies. It makes it sound like we're weirdos with goat horns and shit, and that the people who are not geeks are just normal human beings. I'm like, I consider them weird. But the non-geek community, I guess, did not really know what this character was and what he entailed. And that's what allowed them, to be honest with you, that's what allowed them to do whatever the hell they wanted with him because of that fact. So I think that I hope they come to a negotiation. But yeah, and there was really nothing for Universal to do with the character. I don't think making a solo Namor movie before Wakanda Forever was even possible, because I don't think anybody would have given the character the time of day. Now that he has, they're in a better bargaining position, but it all depends on how if they do the split and all that, because like I said, the Spider-Man deal is different. I mean, those are Sony movies. They're the distributor. They're the ones that make the bulk of that money. Is Universal going to want to sign a deal like that where they get? I'm always skeptical of deals where you give away money. That's why the Miles Morales machine. I see no reason right now in 2022 or beyond for me to give anybody my money when I can do it myself. But at the same time, the recognizable one now, it's different than Spider-Man because you didn't have any Namor. You had several generations of Spider-Man, and so it's a known character. There's really nothing they could do with this character now that people would accept because they saw him in this movie. So it's weird. I just forgot all about that until this morning. Let me go through the chat and see what the chat. Yes, listen to Stella. Please remember to like the stream, subscribe to my channel, the Sci-Fi Center, youtube.com/at the Sci-Fi Center, and watch the replay if you need, and hit like and smash the like button, do all that crazy stuff. Support Enosh now that he's risen from the dead. He was on a stream. We were on a stream together for the first time in a long time the other night. So pass on to John Santa Wick. I don't know, man. I'm getting permission right now to show the trailer. So the next time I'm on, I'll be able to show the full trailer without getting anybody in trouble. But I don't know, man. I mean, I originally said pass on John Wick, and because it just looked like cliche Steven Seagal shit to me. And then I watched one, and I'm like, you know what? This is pretty fucking good. Now, some of the stuff gets old. The gun fu. I know a lot of people like the gun fu. And then the body count is like a video game. I mean, it's like these people's lives mean nothing. John Wick, the only thing that matters is the dog. And that's like the only thing that, everybody else just gets slaughtered and but you know what? I mean, Santa Claus, John Wick, listen, it's violence. It had me at violence. All right. This is the Christmas movie I need. You know why? Because this time of year, guys like me get left out. Guys like me are like, "Ooh, It's a Wonderful Life. Oh, Ralphie, you'll shoot your eye out. Oh, 3 ghosts come and visit me in the night. Oh, yeah, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Yay." There's nothing left. There's nothing there for me. There's a handful, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and some things like that, But this right here is what, they made this movie for me, man. I mean, violence. This is going to replace those for me, at my age. Oh, and by the way, off topic, for those of you watching this on the replay and will watch this on the replay, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. I said it. I said it right here on Poindexter Lounge. I'll say it everywhere I'm at. I'll say it in the streets. I'll sing it in the streets. Die Hard. I want all you guys that are going to watch me talking to the screen just like I am and repeat after me. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. I want you to know how Bart Simpson's writing that on the wall. Well, those little memes of Bart's writing on the wall. I will write that on the wall. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, but Violent Night is. And like I said, any Christmas movie that can bring the 3Ds. I don't know if there's any dismemberment, but I see blood right on the damn poster, and he's definitely killing people. So 2 of the 3Ds are there. So like I said, this is I think it might be good. I mean, it's a Christmas movie. If like I said, if you're in Vegas, you'll see it for free. You won't lose anything. All right, Brandon, Rick reviews are this is the first time I've seen you in our chat, or at least on my show. So welcome to the Sci-Fi Center Live. RIP Irene Cara. She doesn't get it. She doesn't. She really doesn't. And a lot of people have her songs in their head. It's just remember. I mean, it's just in Flashdance. I mean, we're talking about movies. These things are 40 years old, but they're still part of that mental catalog, man. At 63, Jesus. Good because Namor looked ridiculous. Hey, man! Oh, I was liking you, and then it lasted literally 1 second, random. Uh, I personally liked it, but like I said, if you come from the traditional comic book sense, I can understand your hate for this because it's a drastic, dramatic difference from the Namor you see in the comics and cartoons and all that. It's a drastic difference. They did what they needed to do to get their point across and to visually interpret their character. And I actually liked it, and I liked the history. So, wow.
I think the coolest thing I've ever seen Namor do was when he had the Phoenix Force in the comics.
That was silly. Okay, Random. Also, I finally saw Namor. What kid ever in any place talked about Namor like they cared about? Nobody really. I mean, it was the geekosphere like me. I mean, I and like I said, I consider us the normies. There are 14 people in the chat. Have you given the stream a like? Yeah, hit like, unless you really don't like me, and that would suck. But and on the restream. All right, how you doing, Aaron Pritchard?
What's up, Aaron?
All right, cool. So yeah, like I said, people are constantly reminded or brought to, the reality that, like I said, it always hasn't been roses for Marvel Comics. It just hasn't. It's just unfortunately, like I said, and DC went through the same thing. But DC had Time Warner behind them at the time, and AOL Time Warner. And since 1968, DC Comics has been owned by Warner Brothers. So they've always had a financial base. And for the most part, they've always farmed out stuff. I mean, every piece of merchandise down to wallets and underoos or whatever, Warner Brothers found ways to make money off of their major characters. And at the time, remember when Marvel was going through this, they didn't have a studio. Warner Brothers was the studio that could put out Superman. Warner Brothers was the studio. You say what you want about the Batman films in the 90s, from 1989 up until 1996, 97, there were Batman movies coming out every other year, and they were all making pretty decent enough money. Marvel would have killed for that money back in the 90s, in the 2000s. And then you had, in that decade, you had Nolan's trilogy, then you had all that. So, but at no point in time was DC near bankruptcy like that, even though they hit the same rocks as far as like sales and comic books, hitting ebbs and flows. They always, since they were a part of a conglomerate, they always had revenue coming in from somewhere. Marvel was just Marvel. Marvel was just Marvel. They weren't owned by anybody. They didn't have that kind of backing. When comic book sales and the bulk of Marvel's money up to that point came from sales of comic books, sales of toys, sales of graphic novels, things like that. Some cartoon licensing, but they didn't have those big giant revenue streams like that. There was no such thing as a $1 billion superhero movie at that point. There was no even prospect of a $1 billion superhero movie at that point, and you didn't have the internet like you had now to drive the hype for some.
Hell, there were barely any $1 billion movies at all.
Yeah, I mean, you really didn't start getting $1 billion movies like that until Titanic.
Yeah, in 97.
That was ridiculous. Oh my goodness! I saw Titanic because it was a James Cameron movie, and I wasn't aware that he'd sold out and went rom-com on me. I mean, the director of Terminator, the director of two of the greatest science fiction movies of all time, and the Terminator and Aliens. This guy made a movie, a romantic coming of age movie about two people banging on a ship that's gonna sink. And that's what got him his Oscar.
Well, keep in mind, he also made the sci-fi Blue People romance movie, too.
We're not going to talk about that tonight. I'm not. Listen, you guys enjoy Avatar, guys. Enjoy Avatar. I may, if I do watch Avatar, unless I get a box full of stuff saying, hey, you're promoting Avatar, I'm not going to Avatar. And I'm not knocking James Cameron. It's going to make a ton of money. It's just not for me, man. It's just not for me.
No, he
I don't
says
care.
that he has to make like top 3 or he won't break even with this movie.
Okay, that comment was bullshit. I heard that, and he meant top 3 domestically, because in order for him to break even, he would have had to spend $1 billion on that movie. That's not happening. Not for James Cameron, not for Steven Spielberg, not for anybody. No studio is going to give you $1 billion. It would have been $1.3 billion in budget just for the movie, just to make the movie. All right. So he's talking about domestically, and then you look at domestically, it shrinks down drastically. He's still got to make a good chunk of change. He probably has to make he would probably have, once he passes, he probably has to make about $800 million, and he's gonna make that no problem. No problem. People have been waiting for this movie. I know some people have been knocking the movie, little blue people. I'm not going to see it, because all you need to do, it's like spraying Raid. If I'm a roach and you're spraying Raid, it's put romance in your movie. You put romance in the movie, I'm not going to go see it. I'm not. That's like putting This House Is Haunted on a house I'm looking at buying. I don't. Coming of age, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about you finding yourself in a movie. I don't care about you falling in love in a movie. Don't care. You know what I want you to do if you're in a movie that's on my screen? You're either doing the killing, or you're one of the fodder. You're the fodder. You're either being killed, or you're doing the killing, or you're doing the exploring. You're doing the cool stuff. Listen. Ooh, Titanic. Ooh, I wonder how this is going to end. The boat sinks. All right, and her dumb ass. There's plenty of room on there for him to Jack. Oh, I love you so much, Jack. I'm going to let you freeze to death, turn into an ice cube, and go to the bottom of the ocean, and I'll never forget you. What? I want you to draw me, Jack, like one of your French whatever. What? No. All right. No.
I was dating a girl when that movie came out, and she wanted to go to that like every freaking weekend.
Every girl wanted to go to that twice a day. And when I'm in there, they're in there crying. The girls are crying. And I'm like, literally, like, you know how you can hear people clapping sometimes? You couldn't hear claps. You hear sniffles and shit. Oh my God. And these are people who've seen the movie multiple times. And I'm looking around.
About the 7th time I saw that movie, there's a transition between the young woman's face to the old woman's face. And I just, like, in the middle of the theater, just stood up and went, ah!
And when I scanned around there, much to my machismo dismay, there were dudes crying at that movie. Your man card should have been left on the floor of that theater that night. If you're a grown-ass man, fuck it. If you're a teenage boy and you're crying at Titanic, the man card should have been a pile. Just should have been someone at the door just collecting man cards. Just give it up. Give it up. Just hand it over. Is that what's a glimmer in your eye? Give me your man card. Unless you're just trying to connect with your girl and get laid. That's really all that movie was. There's probably kids that got born because of that movie, which is fine, but no romance. So James Cameron, two of the greatest science fiction horror movies ever made: Terminator, Aliens, The Bisque. And I mean, it's an epic, but it's not for me. Doing things like Titanic and Avatar, and like I said, once you add romance, it's like adding pineapple on pizza. And yeah, I said that too. Pineapple on pizza is disgusting. All right, I'm sorry. All right, so yeah, Avatar, not interested. What was I talking about? How did we get on Avatar? What happened? What was I talking about?
Because you brought up James Cameron, and I said blue people with the blue people romance movie.
Yeah, we don't need any of that. So yeah, we're passing on that one. Yeah, R.I.P. John. All right, so let me see. I'm going to try to do a lot better job to.
Okay, Shogun Orta says, but there's romance in Aliens too. It's hinted at, not actually done.
There's procreation in Aliens. She's laying eggs and people, and chest bursters.
Oh, William, I'm being reminded to bring up. You like the 3Ds, right?
Yes.
Death, destruction, dismemberment. Correct. You ever seen the show Spartacus?
Yeah, Blood and Sand. Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of death, destruction, dismemberment. There's also a lot of nudity and sex, but you know, it's a great show.
Listen, I'm not gonna listen. It's women being objectified. It's depicted. I love that show, Blood and Sand. Oh, I love that show.
Yeah, I
And
just
I
love
mean,
how each season had a different name.
and they would drop and fuck for no good reason too. They didn't get they were like, oops, wait a minute, we may be losing people. Let's fuck on the beach. Let's just had a battle. Just got done with a battle. Let's fuck. We're not even leaving the Coliseum. We're gonna fuck right here and right now. I'm like, whoa, okay.
Well, the scary thing about that, William, is that Rome was like that. Like,
yeah. I from what all the historical things I've ever learned about Rome, you could be walking down the street and it's just there was nowhere to walk because there's just people just banging, bang, bang, bang. I'm like, wow.
Well, the whole of the city of Pompeii that was buried by the volcano Vesuvius, they've started to find that the doors in each of the houses above the door was a penis, like a statue, like a penis above your door, man.
Listen, and here's the thing that I have to come to terms with. While James Cameron sold out and went soft, Jonathan Demme, who was a rom-com guy, went hard with Silence of the Lambs. When I look at the catalog of Jonathan Demme and I see all those other movies and I see this guy did Silence of the Lambs. This guy did one of the great horror serial killer movies of all time. I just can't. So it works both ways, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so you mean no romance at all? Not even Star Wars? Okay, listen. First of all, I don't Star Wars. I don't think that's romance. First of all, it starts out with incest, sort of, But technically, they didn't know they were. She's giving him a kiss, and but
that escalated quickly.
Well, remember, and when she's trying to make Han jealous, she kisses him before she. I mean, technically that's But anyway, the basis of Star Wars is not romance. There's romance in it. There's romantic, Earl Flynn type, that like that. But what I'm talking about is if the movie is based on romance. Like, okay, if I go to a movie and it's all 3Ds are there's violence, there's destruction, there's death, there's conquest, there's robots and aliens and demons and clones and all that stuff, and that's the subject of the movie. Oh, and by the way, there's some romance, there's some banging. I'm all right. You want to throw some gratuitous nudity? I don't need it in there, but I know the formula. I'm okay with it. I'm not going to be opposed to it. But if I go in there and the subject is they found each other and together you complete me. What? I don't know. All right, no. All right, I don't need the Oprah network. I don't need Hallmark network when I'm going to see a movie. I have that. People have that in real life. I know people fall in love and get married. That's not a movie for me. I need to see shit blow up. I need to see people die. I need to see people get ripped apart. And if you want to sprinkle some romance and bang it, that's fine. But if you put that before the other stuff, you know what? There's the remote. The remote is getting picked up, and the little arrow button is getting hit. Or I'm not going to that movie. Like I said, there's name me any romantic comedy or anything like that. What is it? What was the one for Jennifer Lawrence? Silver Linings Playbook. She won an Academy Award for that, right? I will never see that movie. All right. I will never that movie. Other than me bringing it up right now and telling you guys I will never see that movie. That's it. It's not even a topic. You will never see it on a thumbnail. Nope. All right. Nope. Call Me by Your Name. Coming of age. I don't care. I don't want to see you come of age. I don't want to see you fall in love. Don't. All right. Now, if you fall in love in the midst of an apocalyptic skyline landscape, all right, fine. Give and take. But if that's what the movie is about, and if you screw up a good science fiction, horror, fantasy movie with too much romance, probably going to hate you even more. So if you con me in to a movie about destruction, like, let's say a ship sinking to the bottom of an ocean, freezing, and you throw some romance at me, and that damn Celine Dion. Oh my goodness! And I like Celine Dion because she used to do, a lot of her songs or Jim Steinman songs with Meatloaf and all that, and I just love Bonnie Tyler. All those songs just resonated with me, right? Love Celine Dion. She performs out here. Love her songs, like the Deadpool one too. I wanted to commit violence on radio stations. And remember, this is before Pandora, this is before digital. This is when you listen to whatever was coming on the radio. So when I'm at work, I'm working at Walmart, I'm working somewhere where, we community like radio where I can't put on Metallica. We got to listen to something that's safe for everybody. So guess what's safe for everybody in 1997? My Heart Will Go On. Over and over again. There was one radio station here, I think it was 94.1. They thought it was funny to play that song without commercials for 3 hours straight. And I'm calling them up. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? What is wrong with the world? It's a hit, man. People love it. And the people would be calling up. You know how you call up in a quest line? Can I hear my Heart Go On? And they would play one after another and say, hey, sounds like you guys want to hear this song. I'm like, you know what, dude? It's like, so no romance. No romance. Listen, one of the things I can promise my viewers and my listeners and no romance. I promise you that. Just like if you're eating at my house, no pineapple on pizza, no romance.
Darth CPO reminds us that Terminator was a love story.
No, Terminator had two people banging each other because that was part of the story. Because if they don't bang, then there's no John Connor. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. All right. And by the way, he's the guy who comes from back in time and is wearing the clothes of a bum when they are courting each other. So her standards weren't really that high to begin with. So I couldn't take the romance seriously. That's not romance. Yeah, okay. That is intercourse. That was necessary in order to create that time. I'm okay with that. However, if you give me the robots and the cyborgs and it's all about them falling in love, no. All right, the course of history would have been changed. I probably would have never seen that movie. If it were love and robots, romance and robots, oh no, Dad, we can't go see that. Sorry. What else is on the menu? But because that was part of the story, that was acceptable. And in Aliens, there was no banging in Aliens. There's no banging in Aliens. Not the real aliens, not the later movies they turned into horror movies, but in Aliens, oh hell no. Well, no romance there. Oh no.
Well, it was hinted at between Hicks and Ripley.
Okay, that's every guy and girl. I mean,
okay.
And she was hot at the time. Sigourney Weaver was still hot at that time. She's kind of hot.
You have to admit he was throwing some good vibes out with her.
There was flirtations happening. Like, okay, military. Obviously, hot military girl comes in, you look at her, be stay professional, all that. We glance at each other, but but we're not, you're not going to switch to the next screen and we're rolling around like that. I mean, that was like flirting. There was no romance there. There was like, hey, you're hot because you're a female, and hey, you're hot because you're a guy. And guess what? We just came out of cryogenic and we're probably never going to see opposite sex for another 30, 40, 50 years on our way back to Earth if we all don't die. So there's a little bit of attraction. Attraction, flirting, fine. Oh, if he'd have went on, Reese, I love you. I can't leave without you. I'm not going to take this ship without you. I can't do it. And we went, no, we have a future together. I want kids. No. Now that would have been bullshit. But there was none of that. Right? There was no romance there. Right? So,
I think you doth protest too much.
I want to see William react to a rom-com. Oh, I would have to go see one. And the only way you can get me to see a romantic comedy is to trick me. Like James Cameron successfully did with Titanic. I just showed up for the ship to get destroyed because that, we were taught about Titanic and all this. And I'm like, dude, I'm finally going to get this ship, see this ship break into pieces and sink and do all this shit. And I'm like, that's what I'm there for. Special effects. I'm like, ooh, I love this stuff, man. Jack, and they just met on the boat. This isn't like these are people that had like been on several cruises together or were hooking up together. They just met on within 4 days. They're wanting to, spend the rest of their lives together, and there's no drugs involved. That was the movie. That was believable for me. I mean, you love each other so much, dude. Listen, if we ain't married, when that boat's sinking, and I've only known you for a few days, sorry. I hope we see each other on one of these little canoes at the bottom. All right, I hope you make it. I'm gone. When he goes back for her and says, "Oh, I can't leave her," dude, she let you sink to the bottom of the ocean, and you only knew each other for 3 or 4 days, just like Cloverfield. That's one of when the girlfriend Beth, right? Everybody dies in Cloverfield because of Beth. 4 of those 5 people, they knew who the fuck she was. They all met at that party, and by the end of the movie, that we got to go save Beth. I'm like, what? First of all, they were broke up to begin with, so hey, you're on your own. City's about to get nuked. Sorry, we broke up. We're not a thing anymore. I'm getting on this helicopter. We're gone. But they was like, oh, that was his lovebird. That was his. He was gonna regret never seeing her again. I'm like, listen, there's a monster stamping the shit out of this city. We gotta go. Fuck her. I'm sorry. All of those people died trying to save that one girl. They either died trying to go get her, or they died trying to get back to the helicopter and get on the helicopter before the Moab was dropped on the building or on the city. So here's one thing about the army. All right. If we are fleeing, if we are leaving the premises, you need to come with us, because if we couldn't stop whatever the hell it was, you have no fucking chance. All right. You
come with me if you want to live.
You are dead. And guess what happened? They all died. Nobody lived. No happy ending. The only thing about Cloverfield I like, you turned it into a romance and got everybody killed. That's how it should work. No romance in my science fiction and horror. Okay.
Stella reminds us House of the Dragon had romance in it.
No, it did not. It had arranged marriages and people banging each other just like Game of Thrones did. There was no romance. There was a couple romantic intercourses like with Jon Snow and Dany, but most of those people were banging out of necessity. Even Cersei said the biggest weapon you're going to have when she was explaining Sansa is between your legs. They weren't love. There was no love there. They were all arranged marriages. They were betrothed at like 14. Oh, you're 14. Guess what? Here's your wife. You know, when you come of age, you're going to marry her. That's not romance. That's fucking. All right? There's romance. Sorry, Enosh. I hope we don't I don't think you need demonetized, but there's romance and there's fucking. All right? Friday the 13th. There's no romance in any Friday the 13th you've ever seen. There's fucking.
I don't know. There's people that care about each other.
Enough to fuck. That is it. Right? You just met these people. You just got to Camp Crystal Lake. You didn't find the love of your life just when you got off the trailer.
Actually, in that first movie, Kevin Bacon and his girlfriend met. There was some love there, man. And they had known each other before they got to camp. Okay, they got there with that other dude.
Yeah, and then there's one of them was pregnant. Listen, they weren't there for love. All right, the makers of Friday the 13th were not wanting you. If this was a date movie for you and your woman, that wasn't the romance part of it. That wasn't, that wasn't the design. If it happened, but no, Game of Thrones, there's no romance in Game of Thrones. No.
Shogun Ortiz says, well, technically the face hugger did all the banging in Alien.
There you go. Like I said, there were eggs, there was intercourse, there was reproduction. There you go. All right.
Hal Jordan says Aquaman is a rom-com.
Okay, so you guys are just screwing with me now. I see what's happening now. I'm trying to right a wrong in the world, and you guys are just going to compound on the wrong. That's okay. Han and Leia, yeah, whatever. But okay, Han and Leia, Stella, but they weren't the basis of the movie. Their romance, it wasn't a movie about Han and Leia. Their romance was part of the movie. It's in the movie. There's no Star Trek, Han and Leia, the future, Han and Leia, the family, or Han and Leia together forever. No, their romance was on the backdrop of one of the great science fiction stories ever told, or fantasy. So yeah, it's a science fiction movie with, like I said, with some romance sprinkles across, but it wasn't nothing about Star Wars says romance to me. Romance first, at least. All right. So, sorry. What's next? Okay, you guys, I can see this is going to be a long night. Okay, fine. I'm here for you guys. I loaded up on plenty of caffeine. I didn't know this moment was going to happen, but I'm ready. All right, but there's romance in Aliens too. What? No, there's not. There's guy looking at girl in Alien 2. That happens everywhere. That's not romance.
There was guy actually hugging and caressing girl in Alien 2. He was just playing with a gun doing it.
That's innuendo. That's innuendo. That's like a dick joke. That's innuendo. That's not romance. Dick jokes are not romance.
Right. So is that kind of like the fish fucking joke in Peacemaker?
Yeah, I don't know, man. You got Terminator. Terminator was no. Terminator was not a love. Okay, gosh. All right, like I said, them getting together was necessary for there to be a reason for the movie at the end. So there you go. All right. Well, technically, facehugger. Okay, so yeah. All right. Well, there you go.
Do you think Kyle Reese knew that he would be John Connor's father, or did that just kind of happen?
He did not know. He did not know. He did not know. John Connor knew that Kyle Reese was going to be his father. That's why he has to send him back. But he did not know. And that's one of the things about Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicle that just is so fucked up because we never get to see the end of the story that they were telling. And they were going to tell a beautiful story. So, all right. House of the Dragon. Nope. Sorry, Stella, you're wrong. Hello, everyone. You late to the party? Nah, don't worry, Hal Jordan. It's just these guys. I'm just letting everybody know that there is no romance in science fiction horror. All right, William. How about romance in Tom Cruise film Oblivion? That's a good film. Okay, Darth. It's in the movie. I agree. It is in the movie, but it's not the basis of the movie. If you eliminated the romance from that movie, you just have to change the relationships around. But when I'm watching Oblivion, yes, there's people in there of opposite sex. There's this attraction. Yes, there even may be some romance, but it is not the basis of the movie. So if, like I said, if I go into the end of the world, volcano, whatever, nuclear apocalyptic winter movie, all right, I'm going in there to see the destruction and the basis. Now, if you tell me in the ashes of the apocalypse, they found love, the remote actually will fly to my hand, like Luke's lightsaber. If you tell me that, if that's your basis of me selling this movie, the remote flies to my hand like this, and without even looking at the TV, I'm changing it. All right. If you're using science fiction and horror as the backdrop for your romance story, that should be a crime in all 50 states. Now, if you have a science fiction and horror fantasy movie and there's some romance in there, all right, cool, I'll watch it. But otherwise, no, I'm not, nope, sorry. All right, here we go. Hal Jordan, no worries. William doesn't like rom-coms and melting down. He started, no, I'm not melting down yet. Not yet. I'm surprised you guys don't know. All right, Aquaman is rom-com. How? Okay, listen, guys. Just because there's a guy and a girl involved and they're hot for each other, doesn't make it a rom-com. It's that would make every movie that had that in it a rom-com. It's not. Aquaman is a comic book movie. Yeah, she's in it, and there's a MILF magnet in there, and that's fine. There's romantic anticipation, but it's not. The movie is not about their romance. You see what I mean? Now, if Aquaman was about her, them getting married and doing all this, and and it was just about them and their relationship. Oh, you don't talk to me anymore. All kinds of stuff like that. Now that's a rom-com. Then I don't even watch it. All right, but no, yes, there are romance in some of these movies, but it's not the backbone. Titanic was a romantic movie. Titanic was a romance, and you see Titanic when you buy your tickets. It's listed as a drama. Historical type drama or story, whatever they had to word for it back then. I go into that movie, they're running around the boats, chasing each other and dancing, sneaking into stuff, gambling. And I'm like, okay, when did people start dying? That movie's 3 hours long. That ship sank for half of that movie. And they're discussing, I can't live without you. Only one of us is getting off this. I'm like, what? There's no, listen, real life, if it's not your wife or your flesh and blood, I'm sorry. it's like if you made Woodstock a movie and people got trampled or something, and you're like, this chick I just met at day one at Woodstock, I'm gonna die for you. No, you're running. You are running. You're doing the trampling, and you're gonna hope she does well. Maybe you guys will hook up later on when we're safe. Maybe you'll end up on one of those rafts. But realistically, come on, the boat's sinking. I'm on one of those rafts. All right, I may drag you along with me until you get too heavy. Drop your ass. No, stop it. Yeah, it's a yeah. Yeah, it has to hit a romance to kill. Yeah, okay. So, say for instance, some director out there is just making a movie for me, and he gives me all 3Ds, and he decides to make it a romantic, whatever. Um, I'm gonna have to judge it stringently because I have to add other categories now. Because romance is not one of the 3Ds. All right, I don't care. I don't even need gratuitous nudity in a movie. I don't even need to see heavy sex scenes in a movie. You can imply it. I mean, I know some directors do it because they figured that's how they illustrate it. But you know what? If it's a zombie movie, okay, and there's some romance in there, but there's a lot of dying and ripping apart and blowing up. All right. Technically, you're not false advertising to me. All right, Man of Steel as well. Okay, see, guys, stop. All right, Man of Steel. Of course, Man of Steel has a little bit. It's Lois. It's like Spider-Man has MJ, but it's not about Man of Steel. Is not about the romance. So it's there. It's there, which is cool because Lois is his woman. But the movie Man of Steel is about technically Man of Steel violates the rules too because it is a coming of age story, but it's the cool one. So it's not a romantic comedy. Like I said, no, there's romance in it, but that's not the basis. Now you guys are just gonna throw any movie at me. Tom and Jerry has romance. No, there's not. Okay, I'm with Aaron. Okay, yeah, you know what? All right, I agree. Okay, I listen. I don't. You guys can gang up on me if you want to. Shogun. Yeah, good guys were making a peace treaty or something with the T-1000 and Sarah Connor Chronicles. It was dude. Oh my goodness, it's if I ever get hit the mega bucks or whatever, and I can buy my own company and make I'm going to get Shirley Manson because remember Shirley Manson was a T-1000 in that, and I'm getting Brian Austin Green. I'm getting all the people's Lena Headey. She still looks great. Obviously, you've seen her. She has not aged 1 second. Brian Austin Green is still around. Summer Glau is still around. She still looks good. De-aging for some of the people. Now, it's been 10, 12 years, almost 13, 14 years since it went off the air. But trust me, I do a marathon of that, and I finished that storyline. All that storyline was beautiful. And because of Fox was in that era where they canceled everything. That was in the era of the mid 2000s, early teens, where they were, if it wasn't NFL or NASCAR, it didn't have much of a chance. Doll's House, all kinds of stuff get canceled on Fox. The only thing that stayed on Fox long enough to matter was X-Files, and then it stayed too long. So, all right, Aliens is a bit of okay. You know what, guys? Now, fourth, I know you're just messing with me. All right, still a Blade Runner or has romance. All right, now we're trolling. Okay, cool. So I got a chat room with trolls now. All right. The Adjustment Bureau is the best romantic movie. Listen, all right. So, how you doing, Michelle? I am doing okay. I am in day 3 of turkey hell because for some reason the turkey's never.
What's up, Michelle? How you doing?
What's going on? Still 27 people in the chat. Please hit the like button. Oh, they're probably in the rom-coms. They're hitting the dislike button. You know what? Fine, hit it. I don't know. Michelle, how you feel? How are you feeling? All right, Fourth. Listen, Fourth. You started this the other night, man. You're becoming a heel now. Blade Runner's romance is the backbone for Harrison Ford, and which the sequels. Now, no, I always thought. Well, this is my opinion. I mean, obviously, we're gonna have everybody's gonna do. I thought okay, their interaction it has consequences that leads to Blade Runner and its sequel. But to me, both movies are about what it means to be human, what it means to be real, what it means to have a soul, and who's the better being, the people that were created or the people who are their creators, because both films, the creators are pieces of shit. Neander Wallace is a trash human. And to be honest with you, even Tyrell, for all of his advances, thought he was God. And that, to me, that's what those movies are about. But you know what? When we do another Blade Runner special, we could all have a roundtable about what we mean, because that's the cool thing about Blade Runner, because it means so many different things to everybody.
You know what I find interesting in Prometheus? There's a computer screen that suggests that Wayland worked with Tyrell.
Yeah, I've heard that. And there's I think there's a page somewhere that there's a lot of Easter eggs between the two because of their mutual creator as far as Ridley Scott goes. So, no Film Goblin. And see, now we've reached the epic point now where people are just screwing with me.
Hercules 97? What?
Oh hell. Okay. All right, now you got the one movie for us, and now you were trolling me before, but you now have redeemed yourself. You have now redeemed yourself because this movie is fucking great. This movie is Kate Winslet best performance. This is the movie and I have this movie here. I watched this movie on deployment, and I watched it over and over again. It's an Academy Award-winning movie. It won for Best Screenplay. Should have been nominated for Best Film. She should have won for Best Actress that year, but she lost to Hilary Swank for $1 Million Baby, which I did not agree with. And then they ended up giving her an Academy Award for The Reader, which she was good in, but she's great. Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind is one of the most and it is a science fiction movie. And this is like the only exception to the rules, because the science fiction is now, it's in the forefront. The way the movie is broken down, and it's a beautifully done movie, is the science fiction element is in the forefront because you don't get the romance until you delve into using the skin. Well, for those of you who haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Even though this is a movie that came out in 2004, I really want everybody who will watch this or who is watching this now, if you have not seen this movie, you need to see this movie. Warning, if you've gone through a bad breakup or you've lost somebody, beware, because this particular movie has a tendency to touch on those nerves. So what this movie is about is these two people, they're going through this breakup, and there's this technology out there that can erase someone out of your mind. He finds out that she goes to Clementine. She goes through it first. And I think it's been a year since I've seen it, and then he goes through it, and the whole movie is about the visualization of all of their memories, and as they're being destroyed by this machine, and then somewhere in the process, he realizes that even though he had a bad breakup with her and it didn't end well, that he didn't want to give up those memories, and it turns, instead of going along with the process of erasing his memories, it was in his own mind. He fights to keep these memories and to hide these memories, and she's in his mind too because she's part of it. It's a great movie, and yeah, there's romance in there, and it's science fiction. It's about 50-50. It's the only movie that anybody's brought up in the chat room that it works, and this is a 1 in a million movie. I haven't seen a movie like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind since it came out, and it was like, and Jim Carrey. I'm not the biggest Jim Carrey fan. He's usually in movies that Ace Ventura, no, not for me. Some Cable Man, not for me. Comedy Guys, you may love that, but not my deal. This movie was his best performance he's ever done. Better than Man on the Moon, better than The Truman Show. This was the most believable, thought-provoking performance he ever done. And this movie right here is in my top 20, especially of the last 25, 30 years. I love this movie. I have this movie here on Blu-ray. I bought it over when I was overseas, because that's when I was deployed. I love this movie. So after rolls and rolls of trolling me for it, you finally reached that point where I can forgive you now. But it's probably your next poster probably gonna put us back at square one. So all right, her Warm Bodies is a rom-com. Technically, it's a zombie movie, so yeah. It's not a very good one, by the way, but okay, that's in my opinion. No, Michelle. No. I'm sorry. We are talking about how romantic comedies and science fiction and horror should never mix. And Porth brought up the one time where it did, and it did it well, but all the other ones, it's pretty much not romantic. It's just people banging. It's just all it is. And Terminator, it's not a romance. they're horny, they do it, and she has a kid, and that's what sets the paradox. But all an Alien, there's none of it in that. And this started because it was James Cameron selling out. That's what I remember now. We were talking about Avatar, and this is where James Cameron making one of two of the greatest science fiction horror movies ever made, in Terminator and Aliens. He got his Oscar by selling out and making romantic, coming of age stuff. So even Ridley Scott did it. Ridley Scott did Thelma and Louise. But I can forgive him because he made other stuff. He gave me Blade Runner 2049. So, okay, which version are we talking about? Because there's one version that's straight up porn, and it's actually a true story. So, or about the making of Frankenstein, or about Frankenstein itself? I don't know, man. I mean, even if say that okay, romance is in it, but can you visualize that happening? Come on now. All right, Michelle. Okay, all right, stop it. Now I'm evil. Michelle, William hates rom-coms, but he brought it up, so we were torturing him. How did I bring it up? Oh, because you brought up James Cameron, and you can't really bring up James Cameron without bringing out how he sold out. All right, okay, so yeah, go ahead and laugh at me. That's fine. Brad Frankenstein is a gothic romance, or whatever. Yeah, there's companionship. I guess we need to define what romance means. I guess I think that's where we're. And that's great. And if for all of you out there that love it, that's great. But I would rather remove my eyes and donate them than watch one. Sorry, I just can't do it. All right, Screwblader running romance. More importantly, Deckard is not a rep. Okay, Darcipio. All right, what is this? Screw it, William tonight? Yes, Deckard is a replicant. Boy, you got full. All right, Screwblade Runner. More importantly, Deckard is not a replicant. I don't care what Doomcock. Okay, I don't even listen. I don't care what he says.
Deckard's a replicant. Deckard's a replicant.
Deckard's a replicant. Ridley Scott tried to change Deckard in his director cut. No, that was part of the movie. They took it out. Listen, and if you look at Blade Runner 2049, it's pretty much blatantly solved right there, because all basically what Deckard was the prototype for the future, which they would eventually use, and that's why he was always able to find them. That's why he was the best. And that unicorn, they added the unicorn from Legend, but that was always his intention. That he's a replicant. And like I said, you see K in the 2049. He's basically what Deckard was. Deckard was the pioneer. Deckard was the project. So, boy, we're gonna have to do another Blade Runner stream. People. All right. The downside of pregnancy is I'm tired all the time. I had Lamaze class today with my husband working on. Oh yeah. How far along aren't you about to have the kid, Michelle? Aren't you about to have the kid? I thought it's coming along pretty soon, right? All right. Hoping that Green Lantern is listed. Oh yeah, we got it. As soon as I get caught up on the chat, we're gonna talk about James Gunn and his response to Green Lantern and how good I feel about that. Blade Runner 2049 had a kind of passive, static romance. It wasn't active. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Like I said, I have always thought that the basis of both Blade Runner movies was, like I said, the difference between the man-made people who, were just trying to survive. In Blade Runner, the original, they just wanted more life. And if you look at it, and we discussed this when we did our Blade Runner show about 6 months ago. How about if you analyze Blade Runner, the enemies there's no enemies in Blade Runner. There's no villains. Baddie is not a villain. Baddie just wants more. Baddie wants what everybody in the world will want is more time. He only had 4 years to develop his thoughts around the world. Now it's being taken away from him right at his zenith. And remember what Tyrell said: the light that burns fastest burns bright. I mean, he didn't want to hear that. He wanted more life, and he even said as much. So I always thought, and then when you're talking about the Blade Runner in 2049, you're seeing the world through Officer K's mind, and he knows he's a replicant. But now he has these visions and things, and he's starting to question what's real and not, including himself. But I always thought that was the basis of that film. I mean, and if there's some romance in there that I may have missed, maybe. I guess, okay, so there's companionship, and I guess if you want to call the relationship with him and Joy is romance, Okay, I can go for that, but it's also an integral part. And remember, part of that is his complex because he's a replicant. He's shunned by society, but he still has the desires of a normal human being. And that's why that is what those are for, to give you companionship. But since she's not real and neither is he feels a kinship to her. And it was cool because her character, and that's one of the things we talked about a couple months ago, is the evolution. I'm sorry, evolvement. What the fuck is that? The evolution of her character was a big part of that story because it ran alongside of him. They were both synthetic. They were both not human, but they both were more human than any of these awful ass humans that are in that movie. Let's see. I gotta skip. Also, some of the producer special. It does. Yeah, I haven't watched those in 10 years. Actually, 9 years. So we need to do. I really hope. I hope they do some continuation and let me know what that was going on. Here comes Phil Gunn. The Disney animated movie Hercules 1997 is the best Superman movie because it has all the same story beats as Superman. I have never seen it because that second word pretty much puts it at the bottom of my list of things I don't ever see. Animation.
Yeah, William doesn't do animation, guys.
Very little animation. Sorry. Don't hate it. It's just not Oh, cool. So it's a boy and everything. So when are you due, Michelle? I'm just curious.
She goes after Christmas to be in the hospital and wait. She says that further along.
Dude, this is I've never latched onto this.
He says it. The thing about Bishop's character, when they're at the breakfast and he cuts himself doing the knife trick. The company dude, Paul Reiser's character, says it was a Cyber9 Systems 121A2. He's talking about Ash.
Oh, I have to look. I see. Are these Easter eggs or are these actual intended connections? It's tough to, because they don't really give you much.
I honestly think they were intended connections because because Cameron also tried to attach the Avatar stuff to Alien and all that.
I will have to put a whammy on that, man. Please keep those little blue people out of the classics. Oh my goodness.
Little blue people, they're 12 foot tall, dude.
Yeah, whatever. I have Smurfs. Those are the only village of blue people I ever need. Papa Smurf, Smurfette, and the other 99 Smurfs that there's only one female. But hey.
Oh, okay. Right, yeah, I was about to say something about Smurfette there.
Hey, wait. This is a family show or somewhat family show.
Dude, I was talking about penises earlier. This is not a family show.
Okay, but you didn't actually say the word. Now we're going to have to edit that out. Sorry, Enosh. That was stayed.
Enosh talks about penises on his show.
Yeah, don't remind me. And actually gives visual aids, which is a problem. One of my favorite romance movies is City of Angels with Meg Ryan and Nicolas Cage. Okay. All right, so you know what? I figured you guys would, out of all the trolling, would find two of the ones that I find acceptable.
Okay, City of Angels is also somewhat. Well, he is an angel, so would you consider that? Would you consider that fantasy?
Yeah, it's fantasy because it's based on religious and not actual scientific, But it's fine. It's Nicolas Cage's best movie, and I'm not a big Nicolas Cage fan, and he just is in movies. He won for Leaving Las Vegas. I thought that movie was horrible.
Actually, in my opinion, Nicolas Cage's best movie is Con Air, but that's beside the point.
This movie I loved.
I have not actually seen City of Angels.
It drags for a really long time, but the last act is like, holy cow.
All I know about that movie is that he's an angel.
Okay, so
and it had a really good song by
Goo Goo Dolls. It's by
the Goo Goo Dolls. It's the song Iris.
That became their big hit, even though they had Name a couple years later. That became their big hit.
No, Name and Naked actually came before Iris.
Yeah. Name came out in 1995. I saw them here in Las Vegas. It was a concert between them, Bush, and the Goo Goo Dolls. It was on that tour that Bush, Gavin Rossdale met his wife, lead singer of No Doubt.
You know what's crazy, William? As I was at that concert, so you and I were at a concert together in the 90s.
You were here at the Aladdin?
Yeah.
Wow. It was the Edge's third birthday party. Remember the Shark Club?
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay, this is the second week in a row that I'm being made to feel much older than I really am. Hey, but okay, so
hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah. I actually like this movie, and I like the fact that what he was willing to give up. There's something about this movie, and like I said, as someone who's not a fan of romances, there's something about this particular movie. The same thing about Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind that resonated with me, because it dealt with a lot of afterlife issues and what it mean, what the connection between heaven and mortals was, and what how it ends. The ending of this movie and the ending dialogue of City of Angels is some of the best. Some of the best, without spoiling it for you guys. And one angel asked of the other, if you knew how this was going to turn out, would you have made the decision you made? And I'm not going to tell you what the decision you made, even though it's a 23, 24-year-old movie. And he says yes. He without hesitation, he says yes. And then he gives this little speech about it. And, and he's looking at life from a different point of view that we will never be able. He's looking at it as an angel. He's looking on mankind. So these things mean something different to him. If you haven't seen that movie, that's a good movie to see. Like I said, put that on your list. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and City of Angels is great. So there, see, I don't hate romance. All right, her 2013. Is that the one with Joaquin Phoenix in it? The astronaut's wife? Didn't like that movie. I went to see that in the movie theaters. Yeah. Michelle, just keep us in your thoughts. We'll keep you in ours. Time Traveler's Wife didn't click with me on that one either. But that's a good one for us. All right, welcome to the unofficial. Yeah, whatever you guys just go ahead and attack. I got thick skin. All right, Anthony Manzano, MOB. So William, do you think the adventure mixes better with romance compared to science fiction, and why do you think that is? Because a lot of times, to me, if you make romance as the basis of something, there are emotionally charged things that you're if that's your priority that you're writing in, and a lot of the other elements get weakened. We just named, like I said, Eternal Sunshine is one of the rare exceptions. Now, if the story is science fiction, horror, fantasy, and romance happens as a byproduct of that, then that's fine. But it's a gray line, because those tenets, science fiction, horror, fantasy, have a strong and broad support network in a story. They are the atmosphere. You start these movies with the atmosphere, and then you add the people to them. So in science fiction and horror and fantasy, atmosphere is the big part of it. It is over in Star Wars, the galactic civil war is the movie, is the struggle, the power between good and evil. Then you have some romance in there. In Blade Runner, replicants, hunting down on replicants, defining what's real and human. Then there's some romance in there. I think that the story starts to fall apart when the romance and the human interest things become the center cog of a movie, because that's the weakest element. It's that is the weakest element of the movie. In some cases, are the people sometimes, and you don't need. If you could take the science fiction elements out of the movie, and you still have your romantic comedy, your coming of age, then to me it's not a good science fiction movie for the most part, because there are elements in it that are that are interchangeable, and if they're that interchangeable, then I might as well just go see a romantic comedy. When it comes to adventure, it's different, because most of the adventure movies that I see, there's romance and stuff, but look at Indiana Jones. There's romantic elements in every Indiana Jones, but they're all, for the most part, different. So the relationship is just a prop. I mean, Indiana Jones is with 3 different women in the first 3 movies. The women are just props. So it's not the romance. Now, the later ones where Marion comes back and all that, that's different. But if it becomes that interchangeable to me, then those elements don't need to be there for the movie, in my opinion. That's just me. I'm probably not explaining that right, but that's just my opinion. And then I'm very particular when it comes to these for me. I'm not saying that everybody needs to believe that. That's just how I feel.
All right. And technically, you like The Crow, and that's a romance.
how the hell is the Crow a romance?
He did everything he did. He came back for her. He came back to avenge what happened to the both of them. That whole movie was about him and Shelley.
Okay.
You cannot disagree that that's a romance.
Sure. But the overarching premise of the movie was vengeance, not romance.
Still, he did it all for Shelley.
Okay, but that's fine. That's how J.O.R. writes it. That's fine. But, okay, let's take Shelley out of the movie, and he just gets killed. The movie could still happen. It's him and the talking bird, right?
Well, they missed some elements, but yeah, sure.
Because they've done other Crow stories without it being about a woman being raped and killed. That's a pretty brutal movie, by the way. By the way, guys, if you haven't seen The Crow, dude, you're missing out. And see it before the remake. Oh. All right. Listen, I wish people all the world luck in the world with this remake, but I don't think they got an uphill battle. And if they do it, dude, they will have my eternal respect. But The Crow is so special because of Wynn and everything around it. And that music, the soundtrack for The Crow is its own brilliant accomplishment. Oh my goodness. The Big Empty. Oh my goodness, greatest thing.
I love that song.
All right. Blade Runner OG. It was ambiguous as to if Deckard was a replicant, if you ask me. If you've seen the versions, I've seen all 7, might be a different dreaming about Unicorn that versus thinking about it. Either way, the implication of him putting that there, and here's why, just him dreaming about it, the end of where Gaff puts the origami down in the Unicorn, which means he knows about his memories because they're just they're fabricated memories in a factory. Well, you saw how they were fabricated. And Gaff would know that. And everything that origami, even the Buffalo that he made, whatever he made, I think it was a Buffalo in 24/9. All his origamis meant something. He dreamt about the Unicorn, and then Gaff put the Unicorn down. And remember what Deckard said. He'd been there, and he had been to her apartment. Rachel was there. He let her live. He said, "What the hell? 4-year lifespan." He didn't know that Tyrell had made a one with no lifespan or an indefinite lifespan, and Deckard would have been one of those. So like I said, I've always gathered from everything and watching all 7 editions, especially the international cuts, which is the best version of Blade Runner. It to me, it just lays it out there for us. But you know what? It's one of those discussions that's a cool discussion to have. I mean, I hope while Ridley Scott is alive and well, he can come on and just say, hey, like today, not all the other stuff he said before, which he flipped and flopped. Today, what's the deal today? Especially now with the Blade Runner TV show that he's producing coming out, Blade Runner 2099, which I can't wait. That's, there's certain things when you get up in the morning and shit's just like, I got to get the fuck out of bed. I got to go to work. Why do I have to do any of this shit? Right? Weather sucks outside. Knowing that there's a Blade Runner TV show coming from Amazon, I spring out of bed and land on my feet. All right. That's just knowing that today's going to be a shitty day. It's like when Blade Runner 2049 was announced and it was coming down, and I had the little countdown thing going on. I'm like, wow, this sucks today. I have the flu. This sucks. Bills just totally gutted my paycheck. But 17 days to Blade Runner 2049. The music started playing. The birds and butterflies started swirling around me. That's what Blade Runner means to me. So, like I said, I cannot wait for that TV show. We're gonna do after shows on that one because Amazon does it right. They're gonna release it one after another, which I cannot wait for. All right, January. Oh wow! So you might have a baby New Year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sort of. Deckard is a tool of the villainy, just like in Blade Runner 2049. Officer K starts out by killing a guy. Oh, spoiler alert, sorry. But it's a very important part of the movie. He's just a tool. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. But the complexity of the movie comes from the fact that the more people he kills, the more he realizes that these people are not just, and that's what Blade Runner was about, is humanizing these machine things. because when you first start out, Roy Batty's just some crazy fool that escaped, and all these other people are just escaped crazy, rebellious, replicants. But as he starts to investigate, he sees pictures, he sees, memories. Replicants don't have memories. He starts seeing that these people are they're violent, and they're predisposed to violence because a lot of that's in their design, but their goal is, like he said at the end of the movie with the narration, all he wanted was the same thing all of us wanted. Where did I come from? How long have I got? And that's why I always love that version that it has that on it. People are like, that ruins the movie. No, it doesn't. It lines everything up, because that's really all anybody in that movie was. All those people just wanted more life. All right. He killed Tyrell out of frustration. The fact that the guy who created him has said that I've done everything to extend your life, but nothing works. And he knows that's it. And that you see that evolution in Roy Batty's character throughout the movie. And that's why he saves Deckard. That's the final evolution. He's grown to love life so much that it's anybody's life at this point. And just imagine having to live your entire life and deal with all these emotions packed in 4 years. And then you reach the point of life where you're starting to have an understanding, and now it's gone. And so that, to me, the more I watched that movie, that became about the movie. And then 2049 was like, dude, I could relate to Kay. He's everybody that shows up to work and has a shitty job, does their job, but still wants to be more outside of their job. Still needs companionship, still likes to eat good food, still likes to be entertained. But yet he's had this awful job where he has to kill people, and they're his people, they're replicants. And when you watch the first 9 minutes of 2049, Dave Bautista has grown into a good actor. Everybody, he's Drax, he's in Army of the Dead, he's in all these other things now.
Speaking of Drax, did you watch the holiday special?
Yes, I did.
That was hilariously well done.
I thought it reminded me more of what I loved about the original, but we'll get to that too, because I do have some thoughts on that. But the best 9 minutes of Dave Bautista's career, and if I ever get a chance to meet him, I'm going to tell him, is Blade Runner 2049. He sets the tone. He's not in the movie for 9 minutes, but he sets the tone of where that movie goes. He resonates, and he's not even on the screen. That's tough. It's tough for people to resonate when they're on the screen. He does it without being in 95% of the movie. So that's what I thought about villains and stuff when it comes to Blade Runner. All right, cool. I didn't even know you had one. I thought this one was your first. Passengers. Pass. I have to pass on my judgment on that one. That was I did not see that one. Alita Angel.
He'll be okay, Michelle. He's just a little early.
You're still within. I was born that way. A lot of times, it's the exact science is not there sometimes, but 30. It's not pretty.
You're still within 30. Over 30 weeks, so you're good.
All right. Yes, Film Goblin. I'm saying Deckard is irrelevant. That is the official geek stand of this show, and it's one I've held for like 20 some odd years now, and I've studied every crevice of Blade Runner. If Blade Runner's a religion, I feel I'm the Pope or I'm an Archbishop. So that's where I'm at with that one. Now you're gonna be, like I said, your doctors sounds like you're in good hands, Michelle. So you'll be all right. Ridley Scott took a horse dream sequence from the film Legend starring Tom Cruise. That was not him. Okay, just because it wasn't part of the original film doesn't mean that wasn't part of his original concept. Remember the hell he went to make Blade Runner. He got shit cut out of that movie. Alan Ladd, everybody was telling him, dude, Hamden Fisher, all these guys, dude, this movie's over budget. This is going to blood. We got to cut this, cut that. Just because it wasn't in the movie doesn't mean, and he used another one of his movies to take it from. Just because it wasn't presented to us because of a lot of different reasons. By the way, watch Dangerous Days if you ever want to see the hell that they went through to make that movie. Doesn't mean that wasn't always his original intent, But once again, it has to come from Ridley. I partially watched Harrison Ford Blade Runner. Maybe I'll find time to finish. Watch both great movies. I consider them the two great science fiction movies ever made. Atonement. Okay, we're not getting into full on romance here. Michelle. Okay, he's talking to Michelle. A lot of people feel that way. I like The Rock, Sean Connery. There's a lot of bullshit in that movie from a military guy, but it was fun. Yep, I do.
Yes, I think your son is going to be perfectly all right. He has a kind and caring mother, and your doctor's on point. So I think you're going to be all right.
Think of it this way, Michelle. If your doctors who have examined you and done all this stuff, if they thought there was reason to alarm you, doctors will act on that. And listen, if your doctor seems confident up to this point, especially if this may be your second kid being cared for by him, listen, man, they would alert you. They would tell you if there was anything risk. They would have you in the hospital right now. The fact that you're going on through there on a natural progression, like I said, I'm not a doctor, but it doesn't sound like your doctors are alarmed right now. So it's probably within the norm. I understand your word because it's your kid, but those doctors, man, they know they are the smartest guys in the room. So I think you're in good hands. I think you'll be all right. Ghost Rider 2. Oh, Nick Cage. Oh, yeah, and he lives here in Vegas, by the way. I have a buddy, my neighbor. She actually did a movie with him that's coming out. Yeah. And remember, he probably told you that, and he's probably, like I said, if there were any danger, they would be making moves. You're gonna be fine. All right, so William and Thade, I'm going to up to the movies once you guys are. Dude, I totally fucked that up. William and Thade, I am going up to the movies once you guys' opinions are.
He wants to know what our appearance. Yeah, he wants to know what we think of Cape Fear and Mosquito Coast. Cape Fear,
seen Mosquito Coast.
So. Cape Fear depends on which version you ask me. There's two versions of that. There's an older
version is great.
Yeah, the De Niro version is good. The original version is okay. Mosquito Coast I have not seen in years, so I really don't have an opinion about that one. The Vampire's Kiss is an interesting Nick Cage movie, but not the best.
Yeah. All right. Harrison Ford and screenwriters have repeatedly listen. This here, Dark CPO, I will create an arena for us to go at this. I clearly need to do another Blade Runner stream.
Okay, look. yes, I have read the book, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Yes, Philip K. Dick originally did mean for him to be human. But that was changed for the movie because the movie is an adaptation.
It's a loose adaptation because if you remember the end of that book, it don't end too well for Mr. Deckard.
Oh no, it doesn't. Not at all. So, have you ever read We'll Remember It for Your Wholesale, the one that they made, Total Recall?
Total Recall, yeah. Definitely a different.
A lot of people don't realize, but Philip K. Dick wrote a lot of books that became movies.
Dude, well, it's so Total Recall.
Total Recall, Minority Report. He wrote Make Room, which became Soylent Green. He wrote The Box. Minority Report, The Box, Total Recall, Blade Runner, and Soylent Green are the ones that come to mind.
All right, hold on, I got a list. All right, so Minority Report, A Scanner Darkly.
Oh, it's Scanner Darkly.
The Adjustment Bureau, Blade Runner 2049, Screamers, Paycheck, Imposter, Next. Wow. Also, and there's a lot of stuff that's man, he did not live very long.
No, he didn't.
He's 52 years old when he died. Oh man.
It's like the guy who created Conan. He died when he was 25. He committed suicide.
Cut up for that I did.
Huh?
All right, so here's all the movies. Total Recall, well, both films. Screamers, The Hunting, all the Screamer movies. Radio Free, Bemuth, whoa. Paycheck, Next, Morning Patrol, Minority Patrol Report, Imposter, Blade Runner Blackout, which is based on all the Blade Runner stuff. So, wow. So yeah, Nowhere to Run. He's wow, to be only on the planet for 52 years. He has a profound
influence on sci-fi. Yeah.
And just on me alone.
Well, but like I said, the guy who wrote Conan, Robert E. Howard, he had a profound influence on fantasy. He only lived 25 years. He committed suicide when he was 25. Created Conan.
I think it was real. It's my opinion.
What was real?
All right. A new evidence game. Was Total Recall real or was it all a dream?
It was real. Well, the book makes it ambiguous, but the movie doesn't.
No, Bat City stuff. Batman Forever is not considered cyberpunk.
No.
Now, the original Batman, the Sid Mead and Anton Furst designs, a lot of people try to consider that cyberpunk because Sid Mead and Anton Furst were influenced by, or Anton Furst was influenced by Sid Mead, and Sid Mead was cyberpunk. However, the elements of cyberpunk are gone in Batman because it's not futuristic. It's grim war, but it's not futuristic.
You missed a question earlier by Anthony Manzano. It says, William and Dave, what's your favorite soundtrack song for either horror or action, adventure, fantasy, drama, suspense? My two favorite movie soundtracks, well, three movie soundtracks that are my favorite, are the Crow soundtrack.
Yeah.
I can play that soundtrack all day. Every song on that soundtrack is amazing.
Medicine Baby. When's the last time you heard that song? Oh my goodness.
I know, right? The second soundtrack that I can listen to all day is the soundtrack from the movie Legend with Tom Cruise.
Oh, with Dave. One beat of your. Is Your Love Strong Enough?
Yeah, Is Your Love Strong Enough? And Tangerine Dream song on there too. And the third one is the Top Gun soundtrack.
You mean wow, wow, man. Yeah. All right, so for me, The Crow, I mirror that. The Crow, definitely. One of them, which would be tied for number one, I may only have two, is Highlander.
Oh, yeah. You remind me of that one too.
It's a kind of I fucking love that album.
Well, that was originally written as its own album. It's a kind of magic.
It's released that when you get A Kind of Magic, it's not the Queen soundtrack. So it's used. It is essentially the Queen soundtrack, but it's A Kind of Magic. It's its own album, which is great. Oh man, Don't Lose Your Head, and then they would use that same soundtrack for the TV show, which is they literally King Princess of the Universe literally opens up the TV series.
There's
a longer version of it. There's a longer version of that song too.
And may he be Duncan MacLeod. May it be Duncan MacLeod, the Highlander.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff in there. So
I love how the guy who plays his watcher Joe does the narration for that.
Yeah, and they became one of my favorite elements about that story, the historical. And
the Watchers.
I really do. When they remake this Highlander thing, we may have to. I keep telling you to remind me we got to do certain streams on shit, but Highlander was one of my favorite things because it just up until the movies they revisited the movies. Anything after Highlander 1 was garbage.
One of the first movies that I ever went to with my dad was Highlander, the first Highlander.
I mean, just that soundtrack, and I loved wrestling at the time. So the Freebirds opening up, the Freebirds in an arena. And it was low budget. It was really low budget.
It was the Freebirds at Madison Square Garden, wasn't it?
Yep, and that was a parking lot. That was actually the parking lot. And that was an actual show that they did. Dude, the making of Highlander is great, but that soundtrack, for them to do that entire soundtrack and do that for the second time in a decade, because they did the whole thing for Flash Gordon as well.
My favorite two movies from the Highlander series are that one and Endgame.
Highlander Endgame? All right, so that wasn't a bad movie, but it technically shouldn't have happened. Then technically the series shouldn't have happened either. So
for all intents and purposes, the series shouldn't have happened either.
Yeah. So I guess I got to live with that. But the quickening was like, I don't care if I need to pee or not. If I see a copy of the quickening, I just want to pee on it.
Have you ever seen the Renegade version of the quickening?
No.
Dude, the Renegade version. No, look, the Renegade version takes all the alien shit out of it. It's actually a better movie.
She's singing lyrics to the songs.
That's the lyrics to the song "Burn."
All right, the recent Alien movie didn't happen.
Would the movie series would a TV series work for Alien better than the last movie? They're coming out with an Alien TV series on Hulu. It's supposed to concentrate on a different company, not Weyland-Yutani. I think it sounds like an interesting concept, so we'll have to wait and see.
I'm always going to veer towards series because you get more time. You don't have to rush things. There are characters in a movie, most of which in every single movie you've ever watched, that don't get enough time because of the fact that you only have 2 or 3 hours to actually do it in. In series, you can give, if you 6, 7, especially if the more episodes you get, you can focus on the characters, and those characters become stronger pillars to support the story overall. So I think it would be better as a series. That's just me.
Okay.
I love series.
And Michelle, to answer your question, yes, I was actually happy that Fleur Johnson was okay as well. I am also a Nightwish fan, so it was good to hear that she's cancer free now. I appreciate that. I actually saw Nightwish in concert.
By the way, guys, these we're fixing our chat situation here pretty soon to where I won't have to scroll through the chat to try to see who I'm missing. Next show, whatever it is that we do, Stella and Thade will be able to bring up questions on their own. In fact, they will be doing it entirely because I only do it because I don't want to ignore you guys, and I do want to interact with you. But as you can see, once I hit a question, I start going. And a good way to bring us to another topic is for somebody to do something like this. He's just moved another question, but everybody showed up, so I want to pay attention to everybody. And the recent, okay, cool, yeah, that was your question. All right, new evidence game. All right, so yeah, see where I'm at. I'm going all the way down here. So
we're closer to the bottom now again. There's one by Anthony Manzano that says, do you think Minority Report, if they didn't do it as a movie, would have worked a lot better as an episode by episode? Yes, actually, that would be a really good supernatural police procedural movie.
I'm going to answer this question for everything that you have. This is my blanket response. Everything for me is going to be better than as a series. Especially now that I have the streaming element to the streaming access to it, everything for me is better. Oh, by the way, we're going to hit on this later on towards the end of the show. I did something and watched something that I had no fucking intentions of watching, and given this previous creator's stuff, who I think this creator I think is sorely overrated, even though he has done good stuff. And I watched something that this creator did, and I actually enjoyed the shit out of it. Wednesday. I had no hopes for that show, and I just watched it so that I could review it. The first episode, the first 5 minutes of Wednesday is fucking great.
Dude, a while back when they were talking about the making of that show, because Luis Guzman plays Gomez.
Yeah.
People were complaining that he didn't look right. And I'm like, no. If you actually look at the original comic strip, The Addams Family, he looks exactly like Gomez.
And just because the other guy was in black and white and you couldn't tell he was Mexican, I mean, it's not our fault. She does something in the first 5 minutes of the first episode that has me locked in. I am committed to finishing this series no matter what. I'm not going to spoil it for people, but Dave, did you watch it?
Not yet, but I'm going to.
The first 5 minutes of our first 5 or 7 minutes of it, the first thing she does in this TV series is absolutely hilarious. She plays the character. She plays it like a 7 of 9. If you've ever watched Star Trek Voyager, her responses are it's like 7 of 9. It's so great.
So Jenna Ortega does really good then?
Does really good. Catherine Zeta-Jones. I didn't even recognize her at first. That's her. There's what's her face? Gwendolyn Christie's in it. She's great in it. What's her face? The previous Wednesday's in it. She's a headmistress.
Christina Ricci.
I didn't even recognize her at first either because I really hadn't paid too much attention to the making of it because I didn't think I was going to watch because it's Tim Burton. And for most of my life, I'm sorry, Tim Burton's been trash. All right, sorry. There's a handful of stuff with him that I do like and I love, but for everything that I love about Tim Burton, there's 3 or 4 things that I'm like, this is stupid. he did Ed Wood, right? That was him and Ed Wood. I thought Ed Wood was one of his best movies, if that was him. Edward Scissorhands was great. But and Batman, his Batman for the time was great. It doesn't age well for me. But some of his other stuff, I'm like, I was originally not going to watch it because I'm like, I think I've outgrown the effects that Tim Burton had on me as a younger man. I think the stuff he does is completely aimed at a different demo, and I'm not it. But I watched Wednesday the other night, and that's his show. I was pleasantly surprised. And like I said, it's all driven by her performance, but the atmosphere is cool about it. If you ever watch the old Addams Family show, there's even callbacks to that. And I'm pretty sure most of the people that are watching this show may not have even watched that or watched the new Wednesday, may have not even seen the Addams Family movies. But if you haven't, there are things in there, there are elements in there just in the first episode that harkens back to all Addams Family stuff. So I used to watch that show as a kid. So yeah, Wednesday was good. But yeah, I had that brought up on my screen. I didn't put her in the theme now. So all right, let's see. All right, so all right, Anthony, Dade, and William. If Apple plus Hulu, Amazon Prime, Paramount Plus, or Peacock came to you guys, how are you guys write off TV shows for? Okay, am I missing something here? Read this for me, Dade, because I think I'm fucking this up. Dade and William, if Apple Plus, Hulu, Prime, Paramount Plus, or Peacock came to you guys, how are you guys going to write a TV show for Chappie, the movie that came out with Russell Crowe in the mid? Ooh, I didn't see that movie. Did you see it, Dade?
Sorry, I just got back. What's up?
I'll read that question there real quick because I haven't seen Chappie. I guess he's asking.
Come guys, how are you guys? Write a TV show for Chappie, the movie that came out with Russell Crowe. I could probably do it. I'm actually currently working on a treatment for a Star Wars thing that I'm going to pitch to Lucasfilm. I don't know, maybe I'd have to watch the movie again. I haven't watched that movie in a while. But yeah, I'd give it a try. It's about a robot.
I think I remember it coming out, but I don't remember it.
It's made by the same guy who did Sector 9.
Neil Blomkamp or
Blomkamp, yeah, whatever the yeah.
Sector 9, you mean I know what you're talking about. It's not Sector 9. I know what you're talking about, though. I know what movie that is. So. All right, so let's move on a little bit to something that I am very hopeful for. And sorry, I didn't have a better answer for you. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't want to blow smoke out of my ass. All right, so James Gunn has continued to be active on Twitter, which I like. And so he the other day, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, he posted a picture of DC, just DC characters sitting around, and some viewer basically noticed that there's no Green Lantern there. So so the person tweeted, no Green Lantern in this image, therefore I can confidently claim that Gunn and Safran have no intention on adding that character into the DCU. This is a scoop. I'm 100% confident in it. And James Gunn responds, probably not a good scoop. Happy Thanksgiving. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. And I already pretty much get the feeling that the Green Lantern is going to be a very important part of any DC thing coming forward because they are so broad and they can cover so many bases and you can use them in so many different ways that it's a must that, it sucks that we haven't had it now. I mean, we had the movie in 2011, but in this universe that we are currently in right now, it sucks that the mismanagement was so bad that Green Lantern and then they never got off the ground, the Green Lantern show. So it sounds like James Gunn has still has Green Lanterns on the table. So I'm happy about that. I don't have any details or anything like that, but I'm happy that that's just directly refuted right there. I think the guy was being tongue in cheek anyway, but the fact that every time I hear from the horse's mouth, I'm happy. What do you think about James Gunn not eliminating the possibility of coming up?
Oh, well, look, if James Gunn puts a Green Lantern project out there, I will be ecstatic because, we talk a lot about the Trinity, and yeah, they're some of my favorite characters, but my all-time favorite DC characters are the Green Lanterns. Like, the whole idea of the Lantern Corps just in general, like the different color spectrums of the lanterns, I love that mythology.
See, my favorite run of Green Lantern, and I know this is going to be considered sacrilege for my fellow old school fans, was the Kyle Rayner run of Green Lantern. Kyle Rayner,
that was a great run. That was a great run, and it gave us one of the greatest tropes in comic book history: the girls getting fridged.
That was reading that comic because I ordered that comic and I on a month. I had it here on a monthly basis, and whenever Green Lantern come out, I'd read it. And right after Emerald Twilight, which I thought was one of the cool things to come out of that whole storyline, is when they killed off Hal Jordan, and they basically said this is going to be our Green Lantern from going forward. And this is the stayed. Kyle Rayner stayed Green Lantern all the way through till the late 2000s, early 2010s when they explained Parallax about Hal Jordan back. But even then, Kyle Rayner was a Green Lantern. He was considered one of the best Green Lanterns.
Well, Kyle, with the exception of Hal Jordan, Kyle has been the only other Lantern that has worn every ring.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was like waiting for a little bit with Ion. But yeah, when they did that that girlfriend in the refrigerator thing, that was shocking at the time. That was offensive. I remember the letter campaign that was against them because it was such. He was cutting. This character called Major Force, which is a B character, was looking for Kyle Rayner, and he found his girlfriend in the apartment, and he cuts her up and puts her in the freezer, and you could see that I still have that comic here.
Yeah, was brutal, dude. That comic was brutal.
Yeah, the cracked refrigerator. They never showed the whole thing, but it was a cracked refrigerator, and you could see her arms and her legs. You could clearly see she'd been cut up and stuffed in there. She wasn't stuffed in there whole. He cut her up, and I remember the end of that storyline where he finally gets him, and and it's him and Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner is a different character at that point, and it's called Warrior, which is fucking stupid, but that's Thank You 0 Hour, another worthless reboot. But he was a character called Warrior who could change his shape and do all this shit with his hands. And he says, "Go ahead and kill him, Kyle, because he killed your girlfriend." He's like, "That's not who I want to be. It's not the hero I want to be," and all this. And then finally, the Guy Gardner just makes a knife out of his wrist and just fucking cuts the guy's throat and kills him. So that guy paid for that, and but they did that to define Kyle Rayner's character going forward. So, and it did a good job. His romantic interludes were different. They were different because he never wanted to bring anybody in his life that would pay the price for him being the Green Lantern.
I completely agree with Aaron.
Krypton Cave.
I completely agree with what Aaron Pritchard here says. Guy Gardner was a better Red Lantern than a Green Lantern.
Yeah, because he didn't fit. And I remember the story that they did, the backstory about him and Nort becoming Green Lantern. Guy Gardner was actually and they did a backstory with Kyle Rayner because it was Gambit was looking for Guy Gardner to give Guy Gardner the ring. Kyle Rayner was playing and B. He could not, for some reason, get to Guy Gardner. So the backup plan was Kyle Rayner. And I remember him telling that story. That it was he was running out of energy because he consumed all the energy of and put it in that one ring, which is why Kyle Rayner's ring never had to recharge. It very rarely had to recharge, and at that time did not have the yellow impurity because before the Parallax situation, with the actual what they explained was the demon or whatever inside the land with the green that they added. It was stupid, but that's how they brought Hal Jordan back. They said they had taken that out. And that's why he could affect things. Because remember, Green Lantern couldn't affect if there were yellow involved, the Green Lantern can affect it, which is one of the the accordion ring with Sinestro was so interesting because that made him a perfect. So, yeah, Green Lantern movie. Listen, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for the next step in this whole DCU thing. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think if people just sit back and relax and just let it flow, I think they're going to be pleased what they come out with. I'm ready for Green Lantern, and that needs to be an epic. That needs to be the binding force of all of these things because it's a one character that we haven't touched on, and you bring them out, and like I said, there's ways to at the end of this 10-year plan transition into a brand new group of DC superheroes or different versions of them. I really hope they use Kingdom Come to do it because I love Kingdom Come. And I do. I think there's a way that they could adapt it. I mean, they don't have to have Magog. They don't have to have Shazam. I don't think the Shazam that's currently playing right now, even though I enjoy that movie, if they did a Kingdom Come, I don't want to see that version of Shazam playing anybody because I don't think he would be able to. They haven't built that character up to be the kind of serious character that you would need to have in there. So I would like to see that replaced by Black Adam. That's just me blowing smoke right now, but right now it's all on the table. All right, William, I think Batman Forever is one step away from being cyberpunk because it has flying vehicles. You know what? Cyberpunk is the definition of cyberpunk is ambiguous. I've always thought it to mean future noir. And with a society totally based and overwritten by overwhelming technology, I guess you could look at that. I mean, that's not a wrong answer. I've always thought of it differently. Blade Runner always being the first cyberpunk thing I ever saw. Blade Runner always for me was a definition, and it meant farther in the future. But look, you know what? Blade Runner happened in 2019. So where's my flying car? Damn it. All right, Guy Gardner. Yeah, Guy Gardner would have been a better hand. All right, so what are my thoughts on Alan Scott? I hope it's a long time before I ever see Alan Scott on a big screen. Reason being is because I think, and as it did in the series, I never liked Alan Scott in the comic books being used in the modern era simply because his powers are so yeah, he's a Green Lantern. He was the original Green Lantern, the Golden Age Green Lantern, but that's not where you took the story. You took the story with these aliens and not, the root and whatever, and him being couldn't affect wood. I mean, that was always lame to me, but I could see him like a flashback, but or in a Justice Society situation, but I wouldn't want to see him in a Green Lantern story. That's just me because I never did like that Green Lantern. William, who would you like to see direct a Green Lantern movie besides Denny Bill? Dude, you take away the main guy I want to see directing it. Whose movies don't have it? You know what, dude? Can we time people out in here? Whatever. It's just not a pulse you can find for us. But if it's not Denny, Steven Spielberg. See, man, you're taking away. Like the main guy would have to do this.
What does he mean? The movies don't have a pulse?
Yeah, he's trolling me again. James Cameron, if he unsells out, I could see James Cameron being in that universe. Bryce David Howard, Dallas Howard, Ron Howard. Those would be the ones up top. But like I said, my list would start with Denny, but you took him off the table, so I do. Those are my other ones. That City. Do you think that Jon Favreau directed an Avengers movie? I don't know. I guess I'm not. Listen, the Avengers for me, just the thought of the Avengers these days hurts my head. What happened with the Avengers and why it's so hard to direct a good one, in my opinion, is because Marvel didn't have X-Men and they didn't have Fantastic Four. The only vessel that they could run a joint story through was the Avengers at the time. And now that they have all these other projects, they have to fit them in that. So everything is being told of the Avengers, like Avengers Kang War, Avengers this, Avengers that, Avengers Secret Wars, and Avengers. So I'm like, that was not what the Avengers were designed for. There were other Marvel had, the pre-bankrupt Marvel had other avenues to be able to tell those stories. Like if you were going to tell a lot of cosmic stories, they didn't all have to go through the Avengers. You could use the Fantastic Four, and then you could use the X-Men to tell stories as well. But they only had the Avengers, and like I've always said, the Avengers has become that salad that some person who doesn't know how to make a salad just opens up the refrigerator and tosses all the shit that's in the refrigerator, disgusting or not, into the same bowl, thinking that's great. And that's what Marvel and MCU and the Avengers has become to me, as a salad with a bunch of, some cool shit in it, but mixed in with all the other stuff. It's a cluttered bowl of shit now. And it's too bloated. It's too, it's too overdone. So what I would like to see in these next phases is them refine with the event to the finite group that they started with back in 2012, and then take these other stories and tell them through the X-Men and tell them through the Fantastic Four or whatever other galactic entity you have. But I've always had a problem with every element that they brought into the MCU had to be thrown into the Avengers garbage clutter salad, and it's going to taste like shit. So same thing with Spider-Man. Anybody who comes in has to be an Avenger, has to be thrown into the Avenger salad. So I don't know who would direct that movie because it's such a bloated movie. And there are a lot of directors who won't direct one of these types of movies because of those restrictions. So Jon Favreau might be the best because he's in that system already, but any director that would direct these things is going to have a hard time.
Did you hear that they leaked
especially if they're free like Tarantino or somebody who's used to quit.
Hey William, did you hear that they leaked the full slates for all the way up to up to Phase 7?
I heard somewhere like that, but shit changes on a dime. So even if they have it up on a board somewhere, so much stuff. Like some of that stuff that they released in Comic-Con with those dates ain't happening. I knew that Blade. There's no Blade. All these things that they put out there, they put it out there to get the blood going. Most of that stuff is going, once the first half of it gets released, some of that stuff is going to get pushed because anything happens, they have to reset things because they're telling one story. That's why Blade not done on time affects other parts of the story. So I believe that most of those movies that you saw in there are going to get pushed further a little bit and changed depending on, what the working thing is. Because remember, even though he has this stuff mapped out, as he sees things develop and as he sees it on the screen, as he sees it, come together, he may make adjustments. And that's the same thing was going to be with James Gunn. They're going to be making, there are movies that, that might get rearranged and reshuffled because of one movie doesn't work with the other. So even if it got leaked out, I doubt it's going to have any consequences as far as like, like I said, if it were like next year, maybe, but Phase 7 is like what, 1,000 years away. It's like, ugh. All right, so it's 11:37. My neck really hurts. Ugh. I don't know what the hell I did. I'll probably be in a wheelchair tomorrow. No, my luck. All right, so what else did I have? Did I cover all my topics already?
You said we were going to talk about the Green Lantern thing.
Got that. I got Namor. I got everything on it.
Guardians of the Galaxy
it's
special.
Small. I opened up. Get your geek gift, a little promo. You got. Yes. I'm not going to spoil anything because it's still relatively new. I'm just going to tell you guys this. I did not like Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I did not think it was I thought it had some good points to it. I did not think it was a very good movie. All right, but I did like Guardians of the Galaxy 1, and watching that Christmas special reminded me of all camaraderie that was in 1 more so than 2. There are some cool things in it. The whole Kevin Bacon thing is hilarious. There are some things. There's some reveals in there that I want you guys to watch on your own. The Christmas vibe of it, the Hallmark Christmas vibe of it, I thought was going to make me puke, but it fits. He makes it fit. He makes it cheesy and cool, and you kind of reconnect. I reconnect with these characters again in this special, the 43 minutes that they're on the screen, more so than I did with the sequel.
I like the song that the rock band's doing at the first part that they're playing for Star-Lord.
Yeah, that's and like I said, and it's all about Star-Lord and getting them. It's a really cool thing, and it's perfect. I thought it was going to be stupid and silly, but like, once again, I left my mind open like just like I did Wednesday. I thought Wednesday was going to be a total fucking disaster, and it's not. I love that show now, from what I've seen of it. I thought Andor, even though Andor, dude, I'm not done with Andor, so we're gonna do an overall once I get done with Andor. Fuck this show for what it does to your happy day. Shit. I have always said, if you're having a happy day, you want it to keep going, don't watch Andor. Damn.
Yeah, I heard it's brutal.
It's good, but it's like, Jesus Christ, I came into this happy and looking for some adventure and some relaxation, but it's like a reverse therapy session. I'm like, good Lord. If you're happy and you think everything is going too right for you, I guess, go ahead and pop in Andor because it'll damn sure bring you down. And it plunges you down. It's like, dude, one thing after another. And I'm like, wow, dude, that's gritty. I like it, but it's like, should I? Like, oh, all right. I imagine it'll be the Interstellar movie teaser. It was a Green Lantern movie. Not the story, but the visual weight. Green Lantern should just look like that cinematically. It should be on the level of Star Wars. I'm going to put when Green Lantern finally happens, that should get the money. That should get a huge ass budget. That should take place as much in space as it does on the ground, on all over. It should be Star Wars level as far as that epicness goes. And I hope it is. Like I said, James Gunn continues to show me different dimensions of what he can do. Not just what he can do personally, what he appreciates. You can see that as he's gone, and just the last 3 years alone, you can see James Gunn being influenced by different things, and he's adding it into when you see James Gunn stuff from early on, this isn't the same guy. This guy is getting better, and now he's in a position to where he has a whole landscape to deal with. He at his fingertips. He has some of the greatest superheroes ever created right at his fingertips. And now I'm just like, not only is he evolving into something better, he's evolving with this slate of characters, and that's just interesting to me. So I'm all about somebody getting sex bots. Introducing Killer Can Bacon. Let's see. Do we hold on? I can't see the chat.
Stella got the bots. Stella got the bots.
All right, cool. It's hilarious when you see them. You guys can't see my screen. It's hilarious because you see I'm about to read them and I'm like, oh no, that's bots. You guys don't. We will get demonetized.
Michelle, I think that you would make a really good Jinx. It's a thing called it's a game called Arcane.
Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. When they don't have to answer all the gaming questions because I have an addictive personality and I must stay away from playing games. I must stay away from playing games. Nothing would get done. Like I would gain 300 pounds. I would start eating the worst stuff. I would lose my job. I would shut this place down because why would I want to come to the Sci-Fi Center? I need to play Call of Duty, or I need to play God of War. I would look at those games and be like, I'm not leaving until I beat everyone. Or until I conquer this level, and I would disappear. So I have to stay away from the games, even though they look like they're fun. I just can't do it. For the good of the center and my well-being, I cannot be a gamer. Here's Fourth. Of course you do, Fourth. James Gunn stays in the realm of what he knows. He directed the same alien invasion. You said this before, but each of those invasions were better, though they were not the same. They were not the same. There were drastically different elements in each of the examples you brought up. So he's saying, I disagree, Williams. James Gunn stays in the realm that he knows. He directed the same alien invasion plot 3 times, and when asked by Warner Brother what he wanted to do, he did an R-rated Guardians clone. But you got to realize that no one was going to touch, even though they offered him Superman and all that. He wasn't going to touch something like that. Nobody was. The people who owned the IP didn't want to touch it because at the time, there was already a lot of heat had with James Gunn working on a DC product to begin with because they thought he was a Marvel clone and all this other stuff, and then all the other just stupid stuff. So there would have been no way that would have been he could have chosen Superman. That movie wouldn't have made any money. He has to evolve to a point now to where people would accept that. And I think he can do a Superman movie. But what you're saying, though, is if what has been demanded of James Gunn, he's done. He wrote the story and stuff that fit into that universe. That was what was demanded of him. When he was working, the same thing was working for Troma. He did for Lloyd Kaufman what Troma needed of him. He came into a situation that was completely disorganized and mismanaged. First of all, they only did that because Hamada's crew was so desperate to get any crumb that fell off of Marvel's table that they were willing to do anything. That was horrible management on that part. You don't bring anybody into a company. You still run the company, and you don't give them everything. You wouldn't give Zack Snyder or anybody else the freedom to do that, but you're going to give a guy that kind of freedom, not because you think he's great, because I don't think that they saw an opportunity to get a Marvel guy, and that's what they did. Now, did it turn out right? It turned out well, but that wasn't their aim. It just happened to work out for all of us. But when he picked a Guardians of the or when he picked a Suicide Squad, he picked characters that were throwaway characters that were going to be non-controversial. Because any mainline character he would have chosen, nobody would have gone to see that movie. People barely went to see Suicide Squad. So even though he could have done that, I think all parties knew that he would not be able to do a Superman movie at this point. Now that he's in a different position, once again, I'm going to bring up the Jonathan Demme example. You're judging him based on what he has done and what you've seen. Nobody except a producer or whoever's sitting down, a legit movie maker sitting down that is talking to him about anything, knows the capabilities of what talent can be. Do you think when people thought about the Joker, was Heath Ledger roll anybody's tongue? No, everybody was fan casting everybody under the sun that looked like the Joker that it was in their head. People wanted Mark Hamill, who was a great voice actor, but wouldn't have been a great live action Joker, in my opinion. But people wanted that guy. But somebody with vision beyond us saw something in Heath Ledger when he auditioned for that part and said, that's our guy. So Heath Ledger hadn't done anything in his career that would demonstrate that he could play that Joker, yet he did. Jonathan Demme didn't do anything in his career that would demonstrate that he could do Silence of the Lambs, yet he did. These people, or their jobs are to create an atmosphere and a story that does not exist. And actors are the same way. They are literally paid to be someone else. So just because he hasn't done something doesn't mean that it's not within his wheelhouse to do it. It hasn't been demanded on him to do it. It hasn't been called upon for him to do it. But if I were running DC and I said my priority right now is for you to put together, direct, or produce a Superman thing, I think James Gunn could do it, because a storyteller is a storyteller. All right, and storytellers evolve till the day they die. Spielberg has evolved since in the mid 1970s to what he is right now. Look at the scope of movies that Spielberg makes. The only thing that's common about Spielberg's movies is that usually they're great and they're high tier, but they're different types of movies. All right, because the Third Kind is different from Saving Private Ryan. All right, Schindler's List is different than anything else. Different than anything else Spielberg has done. So to say that because he's done this kind of movies this way that he can't do other movies or other types of movies or adjust his style, there would be no directors. Every director would have to hang it up, because they all do. Scorsese evolves his style. Denny Villeneuve, he evolved his style in the short time he's been on the scene. They adjust, and I think James Gunn can make that adjustment just like any other director could. He's already shown that he can evolve from one type of storytelling. If you look at what he did in the Suicide Squad, and then you travel over to what he did in Peacemaker, say what you want about Peacemaker, but he made you care about goofball characters that were throwaway characters. He made you care about Polka Dot Man up until he got crushed. So no, I mean, I would warn just not to judge any particular talent, no matter what they are doing, based on just what you've seen. You don't know their potential. It's different.
Hey, dude, James Gunn actually made me care about an eagle. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but
and furthermore,
that's been the same formula for 80 years now. And you know what? That's how I find out how talented people are. It's how many, if you can give me something 3 or 4 times and you can give it to me 3 different times, Starro was different than anything else he had done. That's not Slither. That's different. And once again,
Hell, the butterflies, the butterflies were different than.
Yeah. And I enjoyed that. And this is coming from a science fiction guy who has seen that over and over again. And I know I'm going to see it over and over again before I leave this planet. It's how it's done. It's not how many times it's done. It's how it's done, and does it fit, so I'm a little bit different there. One of these ones you and I are going to sit down and watch. No, we're not. No, we are not.
No, the girls are are plotting against you.
Yeah, you'll need more than rope. You'll need leather strapping or something. I don't know. Have you seen the Attunement? It's one of my favorites. Okay.
Hey, William, does this cloth smell like chloroform to you?
As long as I'm not conscious while this mess is on the screen, we're all right. So, all right, guys, we got about 10 minutes left. Some of you guys, most of you guys are all in the East Coast for the most part. Are in Central Coast of the words already. July. What the fuck? November 27th. I'm thinking, why am I thinking July? There's nothing about today that says July.
Did you just step into the past there for a minute, William?
There you go. There's your romantic comedy right there. So, all right. So we got our Green Lantern. We covered our Green Lantern. We covered everything. We covered more than everything. Somehow we got on romantic comedy. But I blame the chat. Let's see. Anybody got any? You're on the West Coast. Okay. So you're out here with me. So we got 9 minutes till the next day. So yeah, man. That's it. I mean, like I said, we covered a lot. Not too much going on. Like I said, we had another death in Irene, Cara. Damn, man, jeez. I mean, I'm just like, dude, people stop dying of things that are not old age. Damn. Talked about did a promo for not Bad Santa. That's a wretched movie. Violent Night, which I today was, like I said, today was really busy. Today was a small business Saturday, which is the time for a lot of us little guys to really shine. And then Monday will be Cyber Monday, which is a lot of our stuff. Like I said, if you ever go over to our site, you can purchase stuff from there. We are behind shipping right now because we just put together a much easier shipping apparatus and interlinked it to our online store. So thank goodness it'll be quicker because there's been a delay. But if you guys buy something for there, some of the items will have it set up to you pretty soon before Monday, where it shows you the shipping calculator and it shows you, we'll have a label saying, because some of our stuff is free shipping because it's like like some of these, I was supposed to promo these damn Halo things today. These steel boxes. Oh, by the way, Brodan, if you're watching, this is a steelbook. So here's the thing: when I come to rob you of all the stuff of yours I want, good news is I'm going to leave you with this Halo steelbook. You'll have plenty of space for it because I'm.
Hey, when are we giving away the steelbooks?
It'll probably be if I have enough energy tomorrow night.
Okay.
I was going to do it today, but I forgot to put it in the thing, and I once I had that stupid delay. That because this StreamYard kicked us. Enoch has it set up to where we can broadcast to different platforms, but for some reason, his YouTube page wasn't on one of them. I'm like, there's just one person watching. I'm like, wait a minute, we don't suck that much. Then I looked at it. I'm like, okay, that explains everything. So I was able to get it going. That's why you saw me buying time and installing until I could figure out what was wrong. But boy, StreamYard, every week you throw me something new. You're testing me, but yeah, man, that's about it, man. I mean, that was the week, a holiday week. We're going to, like I said, I'm going to probably stream tomorrow night. It all depends on just how much energy I have. I really like streaming on Sundays. Later, I wish it would be earlier, but it's going to be later. But if there's any news that comes out, I mean, I got so much stuff to backlog watch. I got to finish. And we're literally do streams on shit that other people have already seen. But I'm gonna finish watching. I'll watch another. I'm not gonna binge watch Wednesday. I'm gonna take it a couple episodes at a time. I'll probably watch another episode tonight. Then I'll wait till like next week because I don't like binge watching. I don't enjoy it when I binge watch it, and I never think that the creators create something for you to just shove it all down your throat and choke to death on it. So I'm gonna take some time. But other than that, oh dude, don't watch Terrifier 2 again. See, that's what's wrong. I noticed there's been a change. Happy guy, and you started watching Terrifier 1 and 2, and you're watching it how many times? I think you watched it way too many. It's starting to fuck up your. It's like cocaine, man. That movie, Terrifier 2. We haven't discussed that movie here on here yet, but I don't know if I want to. The movie's disturbing, and it's like low budget.
I've got to watch it.
Have you seen?
I got to watch it again too. I've seen everything but All Hallows Eve, which is where Art showed up.
Okay, yeah, 8 times. All right, so let's stop that. Fourth, let's stop it because I see it's having an adverse effect.
Yo, fourth, your brain gonna melt, bro.
You weren't telling me this hard before you started on your binge watching of this movie, and given what that movie
is, he's gonna.
Now.
Dude, he's gonna be on panel with us one night. He's gonna show up in Art the Clown makeup, like.
And I'm gonna get rid of his ass right off that screen because that screen's getting shut. That stream's getting shut down anyway. So
he's gonna have the little hat on, even the little hat. You know?
Oh my god! I got a guy here who makes little figures. He bought one of those in for me to sell. I'm like, ugh, get away from me. Oh look, I even have a look. I have a it's part of our promotion for Violent Night. I have a hat that I'm probably going to be wearing on the stream pretty soon. There you go. It's Christmas time, people. Prepare for me to do even more sillier shit than I usually do. Even sillier than walking around in public wearing a Shazam shirt. But that's it, guys. You got anything? Oh no. No. It's not. I no. You got to get past me to get to do that.
Yeah, get the little hat for us. Little hat.
Listen, dude. I can. If you can go, Stella. Send him the way of the sex bots if he starts going down this road. Yeah, send him the way of the sex bots. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the private messages now. So yeah, this is going to be streams. Hopefully tomorrow night we have our chat room set up in the way Enosh will have it set up, and then I can just kick back and be like, hey, bring up another question, or change the pace and do all that. I think the show's going to run a lot smoother once we're able to do that. Because right now it's just me tripping around looking because I'm the only one that can access. I can bring you guys up. I'm the only one of us three right now. Stella's in the back room, and they can't do it. So the only one that can do it is me. But I'm also talking to you at the same time while you guys are talking to me. And like I said the other day, we were talking. Well, I was like, sometimes I'm answering questions that are like 30 minutes old, so I look like a fucking clown. So, sorry, but we're gonna fix that. So,
like Fourth's about to be a clown.
Yeah, nice. Hey guys, if you haven't seen Terrifier or Terrifier 2 yet, just have a talk with yourself. Read the synopsis. Check out some of the stuff about it because once you watch it, you can't unsee that movie. It's like Human Centipede. There's certain things that live in your brain forever.
Oh wow, there's a movie with the 3Ds in it that disturbs William.
Especially 2. We actually had the exclusive rights to show that here. We were the only people in Nevada to show those movies because nobody else.
Dude, what he did to that one girl and then left her for her mom. Wow.
Well, when the laxative, there's a scene in Human Centipede 2 that involves laxatives, and is a movie that's about a German scientist who sews people together front to back. And I don't want to use the actual term, and you get what I'm saying. Just Google Human Centipede. It is horrible.
Yeah.
And there's a certain scene where in the sequel where he does something with laxatives, given how they are connected, it's not. And it's in black and white. It's in black and white, except for that.
Man, come on.
And I didn't make.
Oh, that's so horrible.
I didn't make the movie, and it was very, 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 very tough. We packed the house with that movie, though. We had like 7 straight sellouts of that movie.
I actually, for a horror fan, have not seen the Centipede movies. So
don't do not eat, especially the second one. Don't have a meal in front of you, and don't have anything. Don't have like pudding or chocolate near you. That's going to be a warn you. So.
I don't know. I mean, pizza in the prep room with a corpse.
It would probably be more tame than what you're about to see. It's great horror and pulp sexiness. There's a prophecy, man. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Centipede 3 was stupid. Nothing worked. They tried to take things that made people jump. By that time, it wasn't new. It was like, okay, we're not shocked anymore. So it's like, all right, guys. It is now 12 a.m. Pacific time, 3 a.m. East Coast, and what is it, Dave? Your time? 1 o'clock.
It is now 2. It is now 2
o'clock. Central Time Zone. All right, I've done it. I've done my work. I've infiltrated your minds, and I've shepherded you from what was November 26th well into November 27th. And along the way, we talked about rom-coms because if you guys took over and distorted my chat, we talked about science fiction. We brought up some really cool science fiction movies. We talked a lot more.
And now
I thought we would enter the chat or enter the conversation is a good thing.
And now we've spoken about Art the Clown and Human Centipede.
Yeah, that's not a good way to wrap up tonight. Let's see what else is out there because that'll give you. Hey, Chappie, what's going on? How you doing? Hope you're feeling better. Let's see if we can cleanse the mind out of that one. But yeah, we talked Green Lantern. We talked Hulk and Universal and Namor. We talked about Wednesday. So yeah, we hit a lot of different things. Like I said, I set the stage with my little topics, and some you guys added more to it. Some stuff you shouldn't have, but fine. But it was fun. It was fun. 2 hours and 31 minutes. But I'm starting to lose my voice, and my neck really hurts. I got to do something about that because I can't even move. It's like ugh. I have my back massager with me right here, but I have my neck massager that I'm going to use when I get home, and I'm going to try to work out these kinks. Hopefully, that's all it is. Don't get old, people. So, all right. Any last words, Stade?
Nah, not that I can think of.
All right. And thank you, Stade. Thank you, Stella. Thank you, chat. And we will see you 50-50. That'll be tomorrow. So on my way out, I am going to my last wish for you guys is to do this.